Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, MBs of all ages, welcome to Until Further Notice, Bird Brains Edition, featuring Irene, NoCommentChick Special Edition. Boy, have we got a show for you tonight. Right, we're going to kick it off with the rules. I'm going to read out the special Until Further Notice rules that everybody will definitely abide by, and it will not turn into a show like last week, right?
I didn't see last week, so...
You don't want to see last week. All right, so
Okay.
rule number
it
one.
was tremendous.
I wouldn't worry about it.
No.
I was on a different panel last week during this time, so I didn't see last week. So I'll just ignore last week's. It's all right.
That's why you seem so happy and carefree.
I want to quit.
You know, the audience definitely won. That's for sure.
As long as people enjoyed it, that's fine. Right, so please keep it civil at all times. Debates can be heated, but remember your example is emulated by the chat. We wish to foster an environment of discussion, not name-calling. And please stream the debate on your own personal channel. It's 100% allowed and encouraged. You can use my page to rip content from, but my internet's not working, so probably don't do that. I will upload this to YouTube later, and you can rip it from there if needed. Please do not harass other panelists before, during, or after the stream. It will not be tolerated. This includes telling your chat to do the same. I want to ensure that my chat does not attack, name call, or harass anyone on the panel. We want a welcoming environment. Now, in regards to the format of the show, each guest will get 2 minutes to give opening thoughts on each topic. You will get an extra minute on the first topic to introduce yourselves and tell us where your channel is and your socials. Please do not interrupt during the opening. The topic will then go into open discussion for 45 minutes where interruption is allowed, but please be civil and interrupt only when there's space to do so. Don't be shouting over people. People can only hear one person at a time. If there's more than one person speaking, nobody hears anything, and I'm going to have to shout, and I don't want to shout. If you're unable to speak, please raise your hand, or do this, do a Connor, anything, try and get my attention, and I'll write you down in the special notebook that I got from Dylan Burns, just like Sprout is doing now. Would you like to speak, Sprout? Go.
I was just unable to speak. I just want to show you guys unable to speak.
Okay, perfect. Right. So. At the end of each topic, you'll get 2 minutes to close. I will raise my hand during your opening or closing statements if you're going over time. I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. If I'm doing that, you've got 30 seconds to wrap up. Please don't drag it on. You've got 2 minutes to close. If you fail to wrap up, I'll interrupt and we'll move on to the next guest. Now, there was something called a steel man chair. I think we're revoking it this week. We'll see how it goes. I may throw a couple in, but last week people used it as a filibuster and they just threw it at one guest over and over and over again. We don't want people abusing the steel man chairs. We'll see how it goes. If I think someone's arguing in bad faith, I may just chuck one in myself and make somebody argue in good faith. We may do that. Now,
so you're not getting rid of the steel man chair. You're just
walking away. So I'd like the steel man
seizing the means of production.
I'm taking it away from the guest.
He's walking away. Oh, he's back. Never mind. You're good.
Yeah, I didn't count on the guests not behaving, so I've got to take away the steel chairs, and I'll introduce them as I see fit. There is one new rule until further notice, and this is with pronouns. I am done with people questioning people's pronouns or bringing up as a topic on panel shows. I do not like it. I hate it. Stop bringing it up. It only deflects and distracts from the debates. Do not do it ever again. If you misgender someone during my show, and I deem it purposefully, not only will I remove you from this show, I'll make sure I'll not personally send you an invite for any other show I help book. That includes the Hippy Dippy, that includes Drunken Debates, it includes Dr. Heems, it includes the Super Sunday. Any show that I help book, you will not get an invite from me. If you do this shit, I'm not putting up with it anymore. It's the last one. That's it. Right. Sorry to get a bit angry then, but I'm sick of it. Okay. We're going to go straight into the first topic. We're going to do introductions. So you've got an extra minute to introduce yourself and then 2 minutes on the opening topic. The first topic will be the Insurrection Commission vote. And we're going to start with, of course, Bird Brains herself. Irene, NoCommentChick. Go for it.
Hi, my name is Irene, NoCommentChick. I do a Twitch stream over there, Twitch at, so let's see, what time is it? Eastern Standard. It's 1 a.m. actually. I do a really late show. There we go. Late night stream at 1 a.m. on Twitch. I'm also on YouTube sometimes more in the evening, so I'm trying to spread myself around. I like to talk about politics. I like to talk about video games. I like to talk about culture and all kinds of stuff. We've added kickboxing, actually. Kickboxing is going to be new subject to talk about. So yeah, a lot of fun things to do, and I also like to do debates. And thank you, Danabo, for and for making this all happen, for getting everybody together. Because you know what, Dylan's right about one thing. This shit is a huge pain in the ass. It's a lot of work, and Danabo's done a great job pulling it together this week. So thanks.
Thank you, Ryan.
So are we rolling right into my commentary on the January 6th?
Yeah, and it's a general discussion on the Capitol riots and why you think the Republicans voted to block the vote on the independent investigation on the insurrection, or the protest,
It's really
whatever you want to
simple.
call it.
Yeah. I think the answer is really simple. It's not going to be a good look, Sweaty, and so the Republicans don't want it, right? But we need it in this country to figure out like what's going on, what has happened, how the top branches of government have been compromised by forces that don't respect democracy in any way. Because make no mistake, what was on the line January 6th was our very democracy, right? The people with the intention to go in there and hogtie our legislative branch, I think wanted to do so with the goal of overturning the fair and free election of the American people. And that is not something that we can tolerate. At the very least, it needs to be looked into, and like a little bit of blame needs to be placed. Listen, if it's not all the Republicans, as some of the Republicans seem to say, then let's find out who was like really culpable, who was working together, with these people to enact such a dangerous plan. And I think it's because they know it's not a good look.
Thank you, Ryan. TheSprouticus, thanks for joining us. Opening statement and tell us who you are, where you come from.
My name is TheSprouticus. You can find me at twitch.tv/TheSprouticus. Again, it's TheSprouticus. So referring, and I keep getting invited to panels because evidently liberals love getting owned. So that's just kind of the way it is. So I do want to talk about, I'm excited about this topic. I do want to say that this would be an absolute waste of time from Congress. The FBI already has an investigation into this. And so with that being said, you can look back at the way Congress investigated Benghazi. This would be a waste of time, a waste of money from our government. Our government needs to be doing other things to help Americans, and this investigation is better off left to the FBI.
Okay. Chase.
Did you say Chase?
I don't know why I went high pitched then, but yeah, Chase.
Ah, sorry. It's just because you feel so emasculated in my presence. It's totally understandable.
Chase.
And actually, speaking of, I do want to start by just condemning the panel host for bringing together this panel on a day when we should be honoring the memory of the fallen troops who have spread freedom throughout the world. So I do want to take a moment to condemn Danabo for having this panel on this particular day. Aside from that, I'm Chase. I stream very rarely, but you can follow me on Twitch at chasewmitchell if you want. I have a lot of fun coming on these panels. I enjoy talking to people. I try to do it in good faith. Most of my family have very different political views from me, so I just really enjoy trying to learn how to have better conversations. In that way, I guess my goals are aligned with Danabo, even though I must condemn him today. I do want to mention, even though I've already condemned him, that this stream is sponsored by the #1 CBT
CBD.
outlet. No, CBT, extremerestraints.com. For all your CBT needs, use discount code Danabo. They'll provide all of your CBT needs. With regards to the January 6th insurrection, I am absolutely appalled that anybody voted against investigating what happened on January 6th. I have heard that #1 Antifa were arrested during January 6th riots. I have heard that some of these people who are being arrested and are being prosecuted were simply tourists wandering around. I have been told over and over and over again that agents of the government shot patriots on that day. How can anyone say that we shouldn't investigate this? We need to hold Antifa accountable. We need to hold the government accountable. The fact that anybody voted against this is abhorrent, just like Danabo hosting this panel today. Thank you.
Do I say thank you? Thank you. Nacho. Introduction, opening thoughts.
Could you skip me for just a second, please?
Yep.
Sorry.
RdZoid.
Hello?
Hello.
All right.
You mic a bit low, RD.
Loud or low?
Bit low.
A
For
little
me.
low.
All right, 1 second.
I'll turn you up as well.
I'm all the way up.
Right now?
Hello?
Yeah, that's good. All right, go for it.
All right. All right, I'm RdZoid. I like to stream games most of the time, guitar sometimes. And I guess if you ever want to argue with someone who would be right-leaning compared to the rest of the internet, then I'm your guy. So when it comes to the investigation commission vote, I can definitely see why some people might vote against it. Depending on where you're from, your constituents might not be very happy that you would vote in favor of a commission like that. I could definitely see why you would vote in favor to have a commission. There was one senator. Let's see if I can find. He was quoted as saying, "The investigations will happen with or without Republicans." Nancy Pelosi has said that she can form a select committee whenever she wants. She doesn't need the Senate to hold a vote on it, so it looks like it might happen regardless. There are currently 2 Senate committees that are currently investigating January 6th, the Rules and Homeland Security committees. So if I were to make a decision, then to say that we need more congressional insight as to what happened, we already have 2 committees that are going over it. Although they are looking at more of the response to the insurrection and not really what preceded it. So this brings me into what a commission would look like should it be formed to look at what happened before. So if that were to happen, then it would probably be a lot of subjective just kind of things that are brought up. And the problem with that is usually when Congress does something like this, most of the time, like 90 to 95% of the time, it's mostly just for sound bites and shit that the media can use. And just whoever's grilling, in this case, it would be the Democrats, whoever they'd be grilling, and then the Republicans would be defending. Just so they can get stuff for the media. And it's most of the time, I just don't think stuff like this really serves a good purpose. But I can see both sides to whether or not you would want a commission. So that's pretty much where I'm at.
Thank you, Ardy. Joe of the Lewis, thank you very much for joining us. Quick introduction, opening statement.
Yeah, handle's still the same on all platforms. Joe Lewis with an O being a 0. Main places I'm active are on Twitter and Twitch. It's unfortunate that the commission did not happen. Generally speaking, a lot of these things tend to push better when there isn't a sort of like financial incentive on the government. What I mean by that, one of the stipulations within this under compensation is that the individuals of the board would be compensated for their work on there, as well as travel expenses. One of the reasons why the commission for Black men and boys passed in Florida was because the people on the board or on the commission would not be compensated, and they're still functioning right now as we speak. So I think something that Democrats could have done was just eliminate the funding aspect. That way, you keep Republicans happy because then, like, they don't think that money is going to be wasted and things are going to be that just funds generally aren't going to be fizzled out from the government. And then you keep Democrats happy because then you actually have the commission in full force. Despite the fact that there are 2 other commissions, this was to be a little bit more precise and a little bit wider. Additionally, I guess as a side thought, something that could have helped, again, like, not to circle back on it, but just a matter of funding. I think it was one of the main reasons why Republicans rejected it, but they don't really need to do the vote, but that's another thing altogether. The president can through executive order create this commission if he wanted to. No different than LBJ did for the Kerner report. So it's an option that's still on the table, but it's up to Biden to do something like that. But it doesn't seem like that's in his best interest right now.
Thank you, Joe. Nacho, you ready?
Yeah. So I'm not sure why Republicans shot this down either. I think Joe may have just mentioned it, and I probably missed it again. But because I've been doing a lot of work all day today, I've been working out in the yard for the beautiful wife. Let me introduce myself first. I'm American Nacho. I stream on Twitch. I play video games. I'm center right. Newly disaffected Republican because I was officially kicked out of the Republican Party by another content creator. So that's a thing. Yeah, I don't know why the Republican Party decided to vote this down. So I'll be trying to figure that one out too. I think it's overall a good thing that we investigate into this. We want to catch, like as somebody else had said, either there was people from Antifa there were people from the left there apparently. So we want to catch everybody who was there, anyone who was involved, whether they were nefarious actors trying to make one side look bad, or whether they were extreme right-wing terrorists. So any way this goes, I don't see anything wrong with investigating this, and I'd be interested to find out why exactly they shot this down. And that's pretty much it on that.
Thank you very much, Nacho. Maddie Cakes.
Hey. So I'm so glad that the Sprouticus brought up Benghazi. Because that was an investigation that the Republican-led Congress saw appropriate to vote in favor of 10 times. There were 10 investigations into Benghazi, and they couldn't find it in them to vote for a riot that left policemen dead, that threatened the lives of our nationally elected lawmakers, and where people literally erected a noose, like a gallows, in front of the state building, the Capitol building. And I'm guessing it wasn't just set dressing. But no, they couldn't find it in them to vote for that. And as Irene pointed out, I think we kind of all know why that is, because it would make them look real bad. This is the same Congress that had members literally live tweeting and texting insurrectionists about the whereabouts of leadership in Congress in real time. But I'm sure that was innocent, right? Just a coincidence, right? There's no point in us spending any money to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again, right? We'll just make sure that we have all of them say that they'll be on their best behavior. No, of course not. It is fucking absurd and stupid. And there should absolutely be an investigation. There would be a lot more power if it were a truly bipartisan effort. That was why the Democrats went through this in the first place, rather than just forming their own investigation. But it holds a lot more weight when they have the support of both parties behind it, because the Republicans decided, well, we're like not gonna. I'm sure it was just people on vacation, because that's what I do on vacation, is I beat the shit out of cops, and try to overthrow a government or whatever. And then I find time to go to the beach, maybe. It's just absurd and transparent and stupid, and it's sad when people fall for it.
Thank you very much, Maddie. Did you have...
Oh, also, I'm Maddie Cakes. Hi, I'm fun.
We didn't introduce your channel, did we? Right. I'll let you go overtime there, because I was watching Sleeves wrestle with his microphone. Have you assembled your microphone yet, Sleeves? Is it assembled, you think? Yep. Test it. Is it ready?
Is it good?
There we go. All right.
Does it echo at all?
A little
That
bit.
sounds good.
Wait, hold up. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Oh gosh, I'm so delayed. You guys are like talking to me like from another past tense. All right, let me hang up and.
Goodbye.
All right, that was good. That was Sleeves. That was Cut Sleeves. You can find him on Discord. He will not back down from any debate ever. He's been really good to fill in on panels, actually. It's if you book shows, Cut Sleeve is the one to go to, because he will never say no. He will always say yes. Let's see if he comes back in time. I've got to drag him over. What? One sec.
Yeah.
I've got no
Boy, that
mods.
mic, he put that microphone together in his robotics class, and he's not getting a passing grade at this point.
Yeah, we can hear
He's
you.
earning that A,
Go for it,
right?
Sleeves. You still delayed?
Am I?
You seem
No,
fine.
you're good.
Oh no, no,
You're
no.
good.
Okay, now I'm good. Okay.
All right, introduction and opening statement on the topic.
Okay. My name is Cutsleeve. You can find me on the Discord. I've never rejected a debate before. If you think my ideas are so trash, why don't you destroy me in the marketplace of ideas? Alright, now let's go on to the main topic. There are 3 reasons you should oppose this bill. First, political capital. Politicians have a finite time and influence. Using it to try to criminalize more people doesn't seem to be useful and seems kind of sussy to me. As of February 2nd, the FBI has already investigated January 6th. What does another commission started by Nancy Pelosi gonna do? Second, it's not that effective. They've already charged 440 people. Now, I assume you're not going to arrest everyone at the rally, and I assume you're not going to criminally charge the people who went into the Capitol to like take a selfie or like steal some drawers, like people who are there for the lulz. It's all a waste of time. You're going to arrest a subset of people who already haven't been charged. 3, consistency. If you're going to establish a commission to investigate January 6th riots because they're dangerous, the question follows, are you going to investigate BLM riots? My opponent might say that no other riot has threatened democracy, but I'll point you to the Oakland riot, who rejected Trump as the actual president that day. Then my opponents might say BLM riots didn't actually happen on federal property, but I project you to the May 31st riots, where 60 secretaries got injured in a riot in front of the White House. My question to the panelists is, what would it take to convince you that this bill might not be for passing?
I actually like Cut Sleeves. Like Cut Sleeves is good. You got a good panelist here.
I think I'll have him on more often. He's a bit of a star, a bit of a prodigy. I think he's got a good future ahead of him. Yeah.
Can I address Maddie really quick?
Before we go into open discussion, I just want to say thank you again, everybody, for coming on. Thank you very much to Irene, NoCommentChick. It's been a long time since we've seen her on a panel, and I'm glad to finally have her on. Even if it's my show, if I have to make my own panel just so we can get Irene on panels, I'm going to do it, and I'll do it every week until you stop booking her. Okay. Now, what I want to say to the audience is, please do not try this at home. Everybody here are trained debate lords. They will not be injured. No debate lords will be armed in the making of this show. Now, TheSprouticus wants to go straight into open discussion. Does anybody else want to address anybody? I'll note you down in the book. Remember, raise your hand. Try not to jump on people. If I'm talking, please do not talk. I'm only talking to moderate. All right, go TheSprouticus. Address.
So, Maddie Cakes, you brought up Benghazi, and I'm glad you did. As a lefty, you brought up how Republicans were willing to vote for Benghazi, but weren't willing to vote for the January 6th commission. I find the exact opposite, because as a matter of fact, I have the stats pulled up, right? So 7 whole House Democrats decided to vote for the Benghazi Commission, whereas on the other hand, 35 House Republicans voted for the January 6th Commission. So I do want to point that out. There's a huge difference between the Democrats that voted for Benghazi than the Republicans that voted for the January 6th Commission. And these hand gestures, I'm not getting them. You're probably talking to chat, but I'm not getting these hand gestures. But at the same time, the January 6th Commission is much better left in the hands of the FBI than it is Congress. Because Congress didn't find anything about Benghazi. This is just going to be another waste of time, another waste of money by Congress, and they're not going to find anything that the FBI doesn't find. So why are we asking for a whole different commission when the Federal Bureau of Investigation is already investigating this topic?
Oh, is that what it stands for?
Yeah. Hang on. Maddie, before you respond, can I just ask, was the FBI corrupt when it was investigating the Trump campaign, or was it fine?
Oh yeah, when did it not become corrupt anymore? Are you asking me? I don't know.
Well, wait. Yeah. I defend the point that the FBI has always been corrupt. They might have.
All right. Okay. So good. The FBI investigation we no longer need to discuss. Maddie, go ahead.
Thanks, Chase. No, so here's the thing. I think it's a little weird to have a line of logic that's like, they found nothing in Benghazi that they investigated. By the way, the hand movements are because I have 10 fingers, and that's the amount of times that they voted to have separate investigations into Benghazi, where all of those times, guess what it yielded? Nothing. That beautiful, sweet embrace of nothing. because it was political theater, because they had to find something, because that darn woman, Hillary, is just going around thinking that just because she was Secretary of State and a senator and from like an Ivy League institution, that somehow she could run for president. And like they couldn't have that, right? So of course they had to look into Benghazi. And it's funny too, because there were literal armed like police officers that were killed, that were murdered in cold blood at this riot. And then there were others afterwards who took their own lives because of the shame they felt from what happened that day. Like
Can
these
I
are
ask you a
real
question?
people died. No, I'm not done yet. These
Go
are
ahead.
real people's lives that are their families' lives destroyed because a bunch of fucking dickholes decided to storm the Capitol and be violent against people that maybe they disagreed with politically, and police officers that were just trying to do their jobs, that were just trying to keep the Capitol and those that work in the Capitol safe. I know, cut sleeve, take it easy. So like,
No, look,
I'm sorry, like it's so silly that Benghazi's brought up as like the parallel argument where you're like, well, they found nothing there. Yeah, because there was nothing there, because it was used as a political Chase, I am obsessed. I should put that
why?
on my wall.
How?
How what, cut sleeve? Tell me. Also, I really love your science project. I think it's really going to get you an A, that microphone.
Okay.
It'd be like this.
You're
Okay,
I
gonna
was
earn
saying
an
like
A.
I was laughing at like Chase's post. I was like, when did you have the time to like? Okay, all right, that's just Chase being Chase. Onto your actual points. First, I wouldn't defend the Benghazi investigation, nor would I defend the January 6th investigation. I think both of them are big wastes of time. Now, my question to you, Maddie, is what would it take you to convince you that this like investigation is a waste of time?
I honestly don't know that you could. Because here's the thing, when you have an investigation that is led by a congressionally formed committee, you have access
Wait,
to a
hold on.
number of what? What?
Sorry,
I'm
can
not
you
even
not you
fucking done yet.
not you? I'm really sorry. Can I just as a I don't even know if you have to go into this. Cut sleeves. Can you name a reason why this is a waste of time? You said the
Right. Well,
January
I
6th
can name
investigation would be a waste of time.
I agree with cut
yeah,
sleeves.
specifically three. Yeah, yeah.
So when someone
specifically
tries to
3
overthrow a
points.
government,
One,
you're like,
the
oh
FBI
yeah, but the budget,
Hold
Yeah,
on,
well, I mean,
let
if
me
you're
hear
gonna
your own
three,
cut. What's
three,
your
three,
objections?
three points. 3 points specifically. One, it's a waste of political capital, which is good for the Republicans if the Democrats want to waste their political capital, but just in their personal interests, it's a waste of political capital. But that's not as effective of my
I
other 2
disagree with the
points.
foundation of
One,
that point.
the second point is the FBI's already investigated this. What do you hope to find that the FBI hasn't already investigated? They've been charged 440 people. Third point is
Yeah.
consistency. If you're going to investigate the January 6th riots, the Republicans are going to use their political power to do everything for them to have you investigate BLM riots that match this same
You mean
criteria.
they're not
that were
already doing that?
Can I interject for
That
a
were-
second there, Cut?
Please, that would be lovely.
What you described for the BLM is described within HR 3233. Like, do you not want there to be an improvement of detection, prevention, and preparedness for and response to targeted violence and domestic terrorism? Is that something that you think?
I don't think this commission is the way to go.
I'm asking you a
I have a
question
team-
directly. Hold on. Do you think that we should look into targeted violence and domestic terrorism in the United States and provide better detection, prevention, and preparedness?
My counter question to you is, what do you define as domestic
Answer my
terrorism?
question
Would you
first, and
consider
I'll
like
answer my question first, and I'll answer yours.
I don't know. Wait, specifically, I don't know what your question means. That's why I have to ask definition. What is domestic
Do
terrorism?
you support the idea that we should look into improving detection, prevention, and preparedness for and response to targeted violence and domestic terrorism?
That's a very so
Okay.
Joe. I'm gonna call
I'll-
you on this because you're not gonna let Cutsleeve call you out on this. So I'm gonna call you on this. That's a very loaded question.
That's the
because
wording of the bill.
So I understand that, but it's a very loaded question. So you're gonna ask Cutsleeves that, and then you're gonna compare it directly to January 6th, leaving the riots over the summer completely out of the question.
No,
so I'm
that
gonna call you on this. No. You're not gonna
Sure.
interrupt me. You can
Tell
interrupt
him-
Cutsleeve.
tell
and
him
he
what
can
he-
let you.
Wait, you're
Here's the
interrupting him to
thing.
tell him what he's gonna
Here's
say.
the thing.
What is this?
Yeah,
Are you
it wasn't
saying?
even your
Here's the
turn,
thing.
dude.
So
How do you
here's
know
the
what he's
thing.
gonna say?
Here's the
Are you
thing.
telling
You
me what
want
he's
him to
gonna
let him
say?
finish his fucking point.
I'm sorry.
Cutsleeve
I'll let you go, Zach. I'll let you go.
Cutsleeve tried to ask for clarification on the question, and Joe
So
Lewis
you
didn't
jumped
allow
in.
it. So I'm gonna step
So
in.
you jumped in
Yes, I'm gonna
and
step in because
interrupted
I've got interruptions.
Okay,
are
okay,
allowed.
okay,
That's
okay,
standard.
okay,
That's
okay,
standard.
okay.
That's
You
standard.
can play at that game, Spartacus. Do you wanna fucking go?
This is
Right.
fine. This is
Right.
fine.
Well, wait,
Alright.
he
Right.
didn't interrupt anyone.
Right.
I asked the question. Joe Lewis asked the question. Everyone was done speaking. He didn't interrupt anyone.
Right.
So
I don't think Sleeve is going to answer you, so Sprout's going to answer. Okay, Sprout's
So
going
to
to
further
answer.
my point,
Wait, I
further
can
my
answer it.
point-
I just need clarification.
I'll get you clarification, Cutsleeve. Give me 1 second. So to further my point, Joe Lewis, you're trying to trap him by saying this in a very loaded question manner, and then referring it to January 6th and not referring it to the actual question. So I want to label that first. Like you do understand you're doing that, right?
Walk me through where you have a problem. I'm more than happy to clarify.
So you were asking him that question, and then you were going to directly capitalize that towards January 6th and not towards the actual question that Cutsleeve had. Am I correct?
My point was, what I just laid out would also encapsulate the BLM riots.
Okay, well, wait, that's all you had to say. If that's for clarification, then I agree. Like, if this bill was going to be applied consistently, then I totally agree that we should have like improved
cool.
like vet
So that's
to detect domestic
cool, because
terrorism.
that's in HR 3233. The
Did
very
that get passed
very
by
bill.
Democrats?
The very
was
the
what we were
very
trying to
bill that
pass.
Republicans rejected had that wording under the article of what the committee was going to be responsible for. So my question
Right.
is,
What I'm
again,
specifically
sure, go for it.
what I'm specifically rejecting isn't like the broad scope of like, okay, we should have improved protection of these like domestic terrorism. That's what you if that's what you want to call it.
Targeted violence and domestic terrorism.
I'm not like that's not my problems with the bill. My problems with the bill is investigating a January 6th protest that had already happened, that had already been investigated by the FBI.
We should
Like, what are you
investigate
going to get at
future
it?
crime.
So just to interject real quick, I don't know if you're old enough.
What
to
is
know
this, Minority
we've already-
Report?
It has a larger
We've
scope.
already
yeah.
had commissions to do things in post. One of the most famous examples of this was the National Advisory Commission on Civil Disorders. So was that something that you wouldn't support either? I don't know if you know anything about the Kerner report.
Wait.
And if you
And the
don't, then we can
9/11
just table it and move
Commission
on.
and like the
I'm-
commission that was after JFK.
I know about the 9/11. I know about the 9/11 Commission, but
Are you
this isn't
familiar
on the
with
same
the-
scale.
Are you familiar
Well,
with the
hang on,
National
hang
Advisory
on.
Commission on Civil Disorders? Are you familiar with that
Cutsleeve,
commission?
Cutsleeve,
Well-
you and yours have continually compared this to the Benghazi Commission and said that these are equivalent.
No,
They're
I
both
haven't.
waste of time.
No, I haven't.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
I
But you
said you
called it out
and
and
yours.
said it was
So
a
about
both waste of time.
I said that. No. Don't blame Cutsleeve.
But
for
he
that.
echoed
I
as
said
well
that-
because
no.
he's.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I said that already.
No. I don't want to ascribe to anyone a belief that they don't have. So if that's not your belief, Cutsleeve, I'm
We'll roll
sorry.
the tape
When
later.
you backed up, Sprouticus, I am Sprouticus. I thought that you were echoing that same sentiment.
All I said was I was
Either
not
way.
in favor of either commission.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, but that is drawing a comparison between the two. So that's
But just
what I.
to
what
be
I
clear, you would support what I described. Am I understanding that correctly? I can
I'm
read
not
it back
saying-
to you if you'd like.
So here's the thing. When you
Sure.
reject the bill, you don't have to reject all parts of the bill. I can agree if that's what was in the bill, I like improve that if that's what was consistently applied. But you can reject the bill and agree with some parts of the bill.
I totally agree with you there. I don't know if what your objections actually exist in the bill. So I'm trying to understand where you're coming from with
Well,
what you're
and this
saying.
is this is why I'm bringing up this false comparison to Benghazi because people keep saying
I
people
don't-
keep
I don't
saying
even-
that like
I don't even
I
care
brought
about
this. I brought this
Benghazi.
up. I brought this up
Can
as
I-
an example.
can I Sproutacus,
you
can I
talk
please
about
just have 30
Benghazi.
seconds? 30
Yeah,
seconds.
go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
I want to say is This bill is 100% different from the Benghazi Commission. The Benghazi Commission was a partisan commission set up with Republicans in control, specifically to investigate a partisan opponent that was extended 10 times and spent $7 million. This was set up, modeled after the most successful bipartisan commission probably in the history of the United States of America, the 9/11 Commission, and it was set up meeting all of the demands, every single demand of the Republican Party, so that the Democrats could literally take no action without at least getting some Republicans on board. They couldn't call a single witness. They couldn't issue a report. They could do absolutely nothing without getting at least one Republican on board. Comparing this to Benghazi is silly. We should be comparing it to what it was modeled after, the 9/11 Commission, which was successful.
I brought that up, so let me defend my stance, please.
Yes.
I brought Benghazi up as a Benghazi did nothing. Benghazi, I mean, unless the lefties are going to disagree with me, but the Benghazi
wait. Are you
Commission
telling me?
nothing.
Oh, the Benghazi Commission. Okay, I thought you were going to say Benghazi themselves did nothing wrong.
No, the Benghazi Commission did absolutely nothing.
Are you pro Benghazi?
It was a waste of time. No, I'm not pro Benghazi. Trust me, I'm not pro Benghazi. But the Benghazi Commission did absolutely nothing. It was a waste of time. It was a waste of money by the Republicans. I am absolutely for stopping the waste of time and waste of money that the Democrats are trying to do on January 6th. Because here's what they're ultimately wanting to do.
address that.
So you can address that after I'm done. So the ultimate goal of the Democrats by bringing this January 6th commission is to bring it into 2022. Otherwise, they would give a deadline. They would say, you know what?
No, there wasn't a deadline. It was supposed to be done by the end of this year. You're just lying.
Deadline was included.
No, stop. They said they would try. They would try. So no, they said they would try. Okay, how many times did we hear they would try to end the 2016 impeachment proceedings?
Section 10.
So no, I don't want to hear
Section 10, Article B.
I don't want to hear that.
Not later than December 30th, 2021, the commission shall submit.
Are so uncute.
What? So they said. So
it doesn't say try to submit. Shall submit.
It has a deadline. Like
the Democrats continuously said in statements that they would try.
I thought Republicans like to read the bill.
Is that correct or incorrect? Is that correct or incorrect?
Have you read
the Democrats continuously said Maddie, I'm asking Chase, please. Seriously, stop interrupting. Chase, is that correct or incorrect? The Democrats continuously said they would try. Because you can always, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but you can always ask for extension.
Can I be 100% honest with you?
You can always
I don't give a shit about Democratic rhetoric when I care about what the bill says, which is by law, they would have to submit a report by December 31st, and if they didn't, the commission would dissolve.
So you could always ask for an extension.
You can ask, and guess what?
Without Republican input, that's in the rules.
Here's the thing: you can ask for an extension. So the Republican, the Democrats.
Yeah, but then they'd have to vote on that again, and it's like a bridge we cross when we get there.
I haven't been able to get my full point out. So, anyways, the Democrats.
Dude, no, center square does not mean top booking, okay? I'm gonna have to put my foot down here and say, shut the fuck up, Spartacus, and let other people talk. Let other people talk. No, you dominated the shit too long.
We want to hear what he has to say.
Dude, he's done it for 5 fucking minutes, dude. He's got buddy.
I'm speaking, nobody else speak. I'm speaking, nobody else speak.
Oh, he's so upset.
Right, I'm gonna give Spartacus 30 seconds to finish his point, and then we're gonna let Irene speak. That hasn't had a chance to speak so much so far. So Spartacus, 30 seconds, uninterrupted. Then Irene, please.
Thank you. So the Democrats continuously said they would try to end this commission by December 31st. They could always ask for an extension, which could be approved. So what I'm also saying is they're trying to bring this into 2022. They're trying to affect the 2022 elections by doing this, and they're trying to bring the Republicans down by 2022 elections. They're trying to gain political garner by doing this, and that's all they're trying to do is try to gain political garner and try to make the Republicans look bad. This isn't an actual investigation. If it's an actual investigation, they leave it up to the FBI. If the FBI is so corrupt with what they did with Trump, they'd be left-leaning. So why would you be concerned with the FBI taking it?
Thank you, Sprouticus, for proving my fucking point. That's exactly what I said. The reason that people don't want to vote for this on the right is because it's a bad look, Sweaty. You're worried about looking bad. Something went down on January 6th. Don't fucking try to deny it. Something really fucking bad. Something really fucking dangerous. Something that should never fucking happen in the halls of the legislature, okay? That shit was fucking crazy. Now, like you said that the FBI is investigated and that's good. Cut sleeves, you were worried about like, they're going to use this to like find more people to arrest. I don't think that's what they're doing. I think what these commissions are for is to talk about this stuff in front of the American people and have a chance for everybody to kind of like look at everything that happened and, ask ourselves, is this the country that we want to be? Because I think a lot of us say fuck no. I think a lot of right-wingers might say fuck no. I think a lot of right-wingers look at those traitors that tried to hogtie our government and hold them for fucking them and say, I'm not with them, dog, but can you actually vote against them? Or are you too afraid of your parasocial daddy Trump and the forces of Marjorie Taylor Greene to stand alone? That's what we want. We want the good Republicans to differentiate themselves. So that's what we're looking for here.
So I want to real quick to
What that
piggyback
was
off
like
of
a
Go for it,
yeah, that
Kelsey.
was like a virtue signal babble. You don't need a commission to tell the American people.
That's a weird way of describing a force of nature.
Hang
But
on,
nice
hang
try.
on, guys.
Wait.
The commission
Where's
was-
your camera? Just so. Oh no.
I try to pull up the link and then it just like crashed my camera.
Yeah.
All right, try it again. Right, carry on.
So real quick. So I want to address something that Sprouticus said, and I kind of want to pick out something Irene said. These committees move very, very fast. Even when we look at the Kerner report as an example, it took them 10 months to release that report, and the report was almost 500 pages long. So they move at a very swift pace. And this is a commission that has a much slimmer scope than that of the Kerner Commission. So I guess my question is for Sprouticus, you mentioned cost as a concern. So do you think the committee members shouldn't be compensated? If that was something that if within the bill it described that there was no compensation for time used or travel, is that something that you would support?
That there is no compensation. I think
Zero
the senators or congressmen should be compensated for sitting on committees. I think Democrats and Republicans both should be. I mean, this is something that I think that for the Senate and the House, they should be compensated for doing extra work that's beyond what they were actually elected to do when they sit on committees, when they investigate. I don't know what exactly your question is, but I think they should be compensated for their additional work.
Okay, so let me run down the members that there would exist, just so everybody's on the same page. I'm just going to read it verbatim from the bill. One member shall be appointed jointly by the Speaker of the House and the Minority Leader of the Senate. One member shall be appointed jointly by the Minority Leader of the House of Reps and the Minority Leader of the Senate to serve as Vice President of the Commission. 2 members shall be appointed by the Speaker of the House, 2 members by the Minority Leader of the House of Reps, 2 members shall be appointed by the Majority Leader of Senate, 2 members shall be appointed by the Minority Leader. Then there's non-government appointees, which include one of the following from each profession: government service, law enforcement, civil rights, liberties, and privacy, the armed forces, intelligence, counterterrorism, cybersecurity, technology, and the law. So not a single member of Congress or the House of Reps, really just Congress generally, would exist in the commission. So I'll ask you again, if there was a stipulation where compensation for these members didn't exist, is that something that you would support?
If it didn't exist, no, I would not support it, and I'm not supporting this commission anyways. So I'm confused. I'm not supporting this commission in total. Whether or not they're compensated means absolutely nothing to me right now because I don't support this commission.
Well,
I think so. Give me a second, Joe Lewis.
Cost, right?
So what I mentioned was I think this is an absolute waste of time. I think this is an absolute waste of money, and I think it's going to get absolutely nowhere. Even the left is saying, wait, the FBI was corrupt. Oh my goodness, the FBI was corrupt. Blah 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 blah. Right? That's what the FBI is mentioning. But I mean, that's what the left is mentioning. The FBI is corrupt because the Republicans said they were corrupt. Whatever. The Republicans also said that the FBI was left leaning. So if you're going to agree that if you think the FBI is corrupt, they're also left leaning. So why wouldn't the liberals be okay with just the FBI taking charge? I think the FBI would do a much better job of investigating this than the House and the Senate. I think the FBI already has subpoena protocols. This is ridiculous that you think that the Senate is going to be able to do a better job than the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Wait, so do you think
hang on. So you mentioned
one question?
Cost. Yeah, but real quick, Sprouticus, you did again. You mentioned cost. I laid out a scenario where the members of the committee wouldn't be compensated. I also made it clear that they wouldn't be members of Congress. So, and then you said money's not a factor.
No, stop.
So where would the money? Where are the costs that you're describing?
there's still a cost, right? So
Where?
instead of doing this, the Republicans and Democrats can be pushed to do other bills. They can actually help Americans versus doing a useless investigation on January 6th. The FBI already has an investigation on, right? It's just double investigating something that's already happened. So instead of doing that, stop, Joe Lewis. Instead of doing that, they could be voting on bills. They could be trying to help Americans, but instead of doing that, they want to do an investigation on January 6th, what the FBI is already doing.
I'm not going to let you. I'm not going to let you run from
Excuse me.
this.
Excuse me.
Where?
Wait, Joe. Maddie wants to jump in. Go, Maddie.
Yeah.
You're muted. Nice.
Can't hear you.
Thanks, Maddie. That was perfect. Yeah, excellent. Right.
Sorry, I had muted myself because I kept hearing like some feedback. I think it's coming from Cut Sleeve's mic,
Maybe.
unfortunately.
Typical left wanting to silence people.
I know. So I go so far as to silence myself.
I don't know. The
That's
right's pretty good at
how
silencing
radical-
me.
Hey, you are pretty white. It's the only safe thing to do.
I'm extremely white. But anyways, so yeah, I think because there seems to be some confusion on like, well, what would be the difference? Like, why do we need both investigations? Like, why would we need a commission if the FBI already has a full investigation going? Well, here is what the advantage of a congressional commission would offer that something like an FBI investigation wouldn't. So the whole point of a congressional commission, this happened with the Warren Commission after, I believe it was like when JFK was assassinated, happened during the 9/11 Commission. But the advantage is that there are also open hearings. So you're not just doing a normal investigation into what's happened, but you're bringing the American people into the conversation and giving them the transparency that they wouldn't otherwise get from something like an FBI investigation. Now, this is important because especially for people who were horrified on what happened on January 6th, people who saw their very democracy threatened, or even people that maybe, you know, are related to a congressperson or they've met a congressperson. There's someone who they have a personal connection to that was in imminent danger on that day. These are people that probably want to see those responsible have to sit and answer for it. They want to see when, you know, they want someone to be able to sit in front of a congressional panel or a congressionally appointed panel, because I know there were some stipulations within this specific bill where it wasn't necessarily going to be sitting members of Congress, but they want them to sit in a public forum and have to answer for what happened and also get to the truth. So that's a little bit of the difference between something like an FBI investigation and a congressional commission. And they're both working towards the same objectives. And this is something that is routinely done, but they also keep in mind, have different like shorter term goals. And in this case, it's allowing people to be part of that process and rather than have it all under wraps.
And
Okay,
to
so
reinforce
you
something
brought-
very
you brought-
quickly-
You're giving Congress way too much
Give me
credit.
1 second. Give me 1 second. I was addressed in that. I'd like to
Good.
Not
counter
address
that.
you, but
So
I would also
but
like to
what-
copy you.
but-
Yeah, you weren't addressed. What?
But so I was
You don't
addressed by
address
Maddie.
me.
I was addressed
I
by
know
Maddie.
you're a white guy, so you just assume you are.
Danabo, was I addressed by Maddie during that topic?
You can go.
I believe my name. I believe my
just
name
go.
was
Wait, Danabo,
specifically
just
brought
go,
up.
just go,
I believe
just
my
go.
name was.
We don't need to do
I'm
this.
also white,
Well,
Danabo. I'm also white.
You're
RD,
bringing up.
right.
You're bringing up the JFK assassination, right? The JFK assassination,
wait.
the 9/11. So those are the two instances you brought up where a commission was involved, or a 9/11 style commission was involved.
Those
Do you
are two.
believe? So yes, those are two. Those are two of the most prominent examples of when 9/11 commission was enacted on those events, right? So
Wait.
do you believe that the January 6th and what happened on assassinating a president and the 9/11 when 3,000 Americans were killed? Do you believe those are equal?
Was the assassination of JFK
Believe that the
domestic terrorism?
JFK assassination and 9/11 are equal. And that's not like this
No, do you believe that- do you
weird
believe that
foundation.
JFK
I'm
and
answering your
9/11 are
question. You
equal
can
to January
shut the
6th?
fuck up while I answer
No,
your
you're not
fucking
answering
question.
my question.
No,
You're moving around
shut
it.
up, you fucking oh my god.
You're moving
I'm
around it,
answering your
Maddie.
Maddie, you don't
I'm
have-
answering your question and I'm providing you with context. So you sit there, be upset, but I'm going to answer it because you asked. So here's the thing. I think, like, when I'm asked, well, are they equal? by what goddamn measure, dude? Is this on a binary? Do we just put a weight and you're like, oh, well, this rate's on the, in code magenta on a scale of blue to whatever. So that must mean that like it passes the threshold for the need of a commission. It's like, that's not how these things operate, dude. And you want to know what? You want to know how this almost became on the same level as something like an assassination? Imagine if people who were actually serving in Congress, imagine if one of them was murdered, because that almost happened. They erected a gallows in the front of that building. They brought zip ties in with them to supposedly capture and fucking kidnap serving members of Congress. So yeah, it came real goddamn close to being just as bad. But also, I just don't necessarily think of the badness of shit that's happened in our country as well, that was about half a 9/11, but it certainly wasn't a JFK. That it would need to weigh at least 2 more 9/11s to count as that.
Can I get a
So what just
Wait,
happened?
everybody stop. Before everyone else jumps in, RdZoid's been waiting. Please, RdZoid, go.
Okay, so what just happened emulates what happens every single time Congress has one of these hearings. Sprouticus asked it a totally loaded question to Maddie, and she started answering, and Sprouticus was like, no, and interjected. This happens every single time they bring someone in to question them. A congressperson asks well, that's okay. So one hearing where you actually got something tangible out of it, like some information that's actually useful. Most of the time, they'll bring someone in, they'll ask them a totally loaded question, then they'll be like, that's a yes or no question, or they'll just keep going, I reclaim my time, and then nothing good ever comes out of it. So, I feel like there's way too much credit given to Congress about this, just because whenever we see stuff like this happen, most of the time, it's a waste. And, I don't think it's fair to say, well, this is a waste of time because it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, wait, can I ask Joe a question?
No, wait. Before anyone else jumps in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce the steel chair, and I'm going to hit Joe over the head with it, and I want Joe Lewis to give his good faith argument in favor of Sprouticus' position. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Joe.
I totally think that the cost of these committees is a waste of government funds, which is why I think one thing that you could do for talking about a policy prescription is that Democrats could have made an amendment to make the compensation zero. That's something that gets it passed very, very well at the state level. I don't see why that would exist in the federal. Additionally, I do think there is something to be said about the FBI doing its own separate investigation. Not to inject too much of my personal opinion here, is that the FBI hasn't been done a very good job at investigating essentially themselves or other type of government bodies. But I would agree that maybe if the FBI was transparent in what they were proposing and what the scope of their investigation was, that could help challenge the validity of this second commission. And the third thing that you cited, let me get my notes here. You cited, and maybe cut sleeve did, so I don't know which one, but what about the BLM, which is something that I totally agree, because if you have a commission to assess things specifically like riots, then it makes total sense to analogously have something to analyze another point of riots, as BLM as an example.
Yeah, and can I want to
work. Wait, that's how the Steelman chair is supposed to work. Thank you very much, Joe, for arguing in good faith on the opposite position. Thank you very much.
Did I get any of that wrong or something wrong?
It sounded good to me.
So he got. Can I respond to that a little bit, danabo? He got a little bit wrong from my side. So when he said that I don't think so. When he said the additional compensation, right? So there's also a difference in additional compensation and senators not doing their jobs because they're focused on something else. I think senators would be much more effective on doing their jobs to help Americans rather than working on a commission that the FBI is already involved in. That's my standard point.
Yeah, so again, to reinforce what I said, under Section 5A members, there wouldn't be you could appoint somebody from Congress or the House of Representatives, but there's nothing stopping the individuals, in this case, the Speaker of the House, the minority Speaker, the minority and majority leader of the Senate, there's nothing stopping them from appointing people outside of the purview. Because additionally, there's going to be 5 members that are non-governmental appointees, including but not excluded to government service. Well, actually, no, including because they were cited by name: government service, law enforcement, civil rights, the armed forces, intelligence, counterterrorism, cybersecurity, technology, and law. those committee would be consistent of individuals that aren't in Congress inherently. But I don't know why
They're
they
still-
well,
they're
and-
still
well, and-
five
and Joe-
saying
but
that
I
they're
want
members of
to-
Congress. When I
I
laid
think
out
Joe-
very
I
So
think
wait,
Joe
what I want
also-
to question Joe on is like we can find some common ground here. So if this was just a bill to protect and it was going to be applied consistently to all terrorist demonstration, I would be in favor of like increasing and beefing our security and our like data tracking skills to all terrorism organizations. But reading the bill in myself, and specifically the quote you bring up, to investigate and report facts cause related to January 6th, this commission is specifically related to January 6th. Now you do bring up that you can hire.
Section 3, number 2, to examine and evaluate evidence developing the relevant federal, state, and local governmental agencies in the manner that is respectful of ongoing law enforcement activities and investigation regarding the domestic terrorist attack upon the Capitol, regarding the facts and
Yeah.
circumstances surrounding such terrorist attack and targeted violence and domestic terrorism
Wait,
relevant to such terrorist attack. That
wait,
would
you just read the quote that disproved your point.
No,
Terrorist
no, no.
No,
attack
There's
wait,
upon the
there's
Capitol.
much more.
That's on both sides. That goes for anybody who was there, like, you know, from Antifa or Black Lives Matter or whatever. Also, like, I don't
No,
understand.
that's not. But wait, what I'm
Unless you're
saying
talking
is, what I'm
specifically about
That's what you
BLM,
want, right?
unless you're saying about BLM, because
Yeah,
again,
but wait, I'm specifically saying terrorism, not specifically towards the Capitol, because I think that was like language used very pointedly at January 6th. I want an investigation or the beefing of our security upon all terrorist demonstration. Now we can agree that if this was like applied evenly to all terrorism organization demonstrations, that I would be in favor of this bill. But it seems specifically pointed at January 6th, which I am not in favor of because one, the FBI already investigated. Now, Maddie brings up the point of open hearings and clarifying and asking Congress questions, but I don't get any, I don't see the value out of it. What is the value of asking congressmen questions? We've already locked up 440 people. We've already I don't know, they've already prosecuted Trump.
I hate to
Joe,
cut
respond.
you off, but
Joe,
I want
respond,
to
and then
refer to you.
I've written one thing down in my notepad, and it just says no comment.
Go on.
So Joe, then Irene, please.
Yeah. I give you section 3, number 4, which is what I was going to explain to you, to investigate and report to the President, Congress on its findings, conclusions, and recommendations for corrective measures that may include changes in law, policy, procedures, rules, and regulation that could be taken to prevent future attacks of targeted violence and domestic terrorism, including to prevent domestic terrorist attacks against American democratic institutions, improve the security posture of the United States Capitol complex while preserving accessibility of the Capitol complex for all Americans, and strengthening the security and resilience of the national and American democratic institutions against domestic
That's the
terrorism.
thing.
Hey, no comment.
That's
check.
the thing.
Wait,
It says attacks upon.
no comment check.
God.
We can go back to a cut.
You're muted. No comment check.
Oh, no comment. Okay.
Muted. No comment mute. Yeah, literally no comment check. Yeah, I hate to break somebody's role like that when they're in a great argument. Yeah, that sucks. But yeah, let me reorient us a little bit, okay? By saying something provocative, if it's okay with you, danabo. So,
yes.
is it okay? Can I say something provocative? Okay, here's my deal. I think that those of you who don't want to look further into January 6th are a little bit sus. Okay, now I'm not making any accusations. I'm just a little bit sus on why you would not want us to look further into that. What is it that you're trying to hide? What is it that you don't want the American people to see? Because you keep on saying, oh no, it's already covered and we've already done that. I don't believe that at all. You keep on saying that you don't want the Democrats talking about it until the next election. That shows that you're afraid of talking it. You don't want it brought out. You want it quashed. You want it quieted. Why are you so afraid about this information getting to the American people? That's what I want to ask you to reorient.
So no comment.
One question.
Right.
But before, why won't we just spend $1 trillion on investigating the riots?
Do you know how much money does it cost? How much money were you talking about spending?
Wait, no.
You don't know. You don't know. You said $1 trillion, but you don't know, right?
Specifically, I asked the question, why wouldn't we just invest in all of the American budget on it, right? The answer is because there's a point.
Because it doesn't cost that much, silly.
Again, the question, the point of that rhetorical question was to specifically point out that there's a point in a line where we say, okay, this is enough. We're spending too much political capital here. We're spending too much resources.
Wait, this is our political capital. Wait, are you on the left? Is this your political capital to worry about, or is this the left's?
Who has
if
the burden
both,
of proof here,
like,
the left or the
there's
right?
times, there's well, go ahead. No, I think this is like kind of frivolous. Sproutkus, you can go.
So,
Burden
I,
of
I,
proof
so,
for
I,
what?
I, so
So
I'm
let
gonna
me go
respond.
back
So,
up.
no,
Yeah, what are you afraid of, Sproutacus? Respond to that question. What are you afraid of? I want to know.
He gave his time to me, so I'm not
Sure.
afraid of anything. The FBI is already investigating this. It'd be a waste of time. It'd be a waste of money by Congress to investigate this further because Congress
God
does
damn it.
absolutely dog shit at investigating. Okay,
So
I'm
Congress
so,
shouldn't investigate
As
anymore.
an,
Go ahead.
as an
sorry,
American,
No.
hang on,
This is
hold
no.
up.
Congress, so Congress,
Spartacus,
Let him
Spartacus.
finish.
so,
Let
so,
him
so
finish.
yeah,
Let him
let
finish.
me finish. Seriously. So Congress does absolutely dog shit on investigating. This would be an absolute
Prove
witch
it.
hunt.
Why
This-
do you
so-
think that? Why do you think it's bad at investigations? Prove to me that Congress sucks at investigations.
We can look at the investigations Congress has done and what's come out of them versus what's come out of FBI investigations, right? Because
Wait, it's not the same thing that they're doing, though.
It is the same thing.
They're not doing the same thing. It's a different kind of investigation for a different purpose.
No comment check. It's a
Listen, you told me to shut the fuck up enough. I'm gonna interrupt you a little bit too, dude. I'm just giving you your own medicine. Your own medicine. It's what you're doing to everybody else.
No comment check. You asked me a
Danabo,
question. Seriously.
Sproutacus, finish.
So here's the thing. So it's a very clear comparison between the FBI results and the Congress results, right? It's a very clear comparison.
They're not the same purpose. They're not the same kind of investigation.
So FBI gets a very much return on results. Congress does not. It'd be a waste of money. It would be a waste of time. And Congress has much better
you're
things to do.
embarrassed about that
What are you
shit.
basing that on?
Congress
What are you
has a
basing
much.
that on?
Maddie, are you serious? Congress has a much better
I am
opportunity
so serious.
to help
Yeah,
help
give us some
Americans
examples.
outside of this. Okay, so Congress has a much
if you're
better
gonna say
ability to help.
that.
Citation
I'm
needed.
continuing to be interrupted. Like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, go.
So
go
Sounds
Congress
like you've
has
done to
a-
everyone else. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm like totally baffled by
Danabo,
this
Get my
argument.
point
where
across.
are you
This is
at, my
ridiculous.
chief?
So
Right, is everyone finished?
Congress
Okay,
has-
wait,
No, I'm not
Spartacus,
finished. I
Wait,
did get-
Spartacus,
You're not
wait,
finished sounding stupid. Okay, cool.
Everybody wait. Everybody wait. What I'm going to do now is introduce another steel man chair, and I'm going to throw it at Nacho. And I want Nacho to explain.
Oh no.
I want Nacho to answer what Republicans are afraid of. Why are they acting a bit sus? What are they hiding?
I think that this is going to look really bad for the Republican Party. I think that you're going to see the split like you already have. You're going to see a lot of Republicans who were uber supporters of Donald Trump being called in for questioning. They're going to be asked about whatever tweets they might have been sharing, other things they could have been sharing on social media, or people that they could have been in contact with, etc. That either were at the Capitol on the 6th, or maybe in support of what was happening on the 6th. And I mean, I think that's going to be the biggest problem for Republicans, is going to be that fracture in those who are going to be wholly against Trump and everybody who was there inside the Capitol on the 6th and had called that out to begin with. And then you're going to have those who were supporting this or retweeting whataboutisms as far as like, oh, well, this is what happened across the summer. It's really not that bad.
Spartacus, go.
So what I'm saying is this is an absolute witch hunt. We're going to continue this until the 2022 elections. We're going to ask for an extension when it comes time. We're probably going to get that extension, including that it's a 50-50 shot. They're going to get the extension. So they're probably going to get the extension with Nancy Pelosi being the tiebreaker. With that being said, they're probably going to get the extension. They're going to bring us into 2022 elections. They're going to try and bring us to 2022 elections, and Democrats know they're probably going to lose the House and the Senate in 2022 as it is right now, and they're just trying to bring us to a smear campaign against the Republicans. This is a bunch of whack jobs that did whatever whack jobs do. I am in no support of January 6th. I am in no support of what happened in the summer, and I am fully in support of the FBI criminally taking care of the situation, which Congress does not have the ability to do.
All right, everybody's waving their hands, but we are an hour in, so I think we're going to go into closing statements. We've gone enough circles. Nacho, thank you very much for answering Irene's question amicably. I think you did well. I think you gave a good faith answer on that one, and I think Joe gave a good faith answer on the Stillman chair. So I think I'm going to be using the chairs from now on. I'm going to be targeting people that I think will argue in good faith. Thank you very much. So we're going to closing statements, and we will start our closing statement with cut sleeves.
Yeah, I'll give a bit of terribility here. Firstly, I do agree with Joe's point. If there is a consistent line of preventing terrorism that comes from this like possible or theoretical bill, I would be in support of that. But I do lean heavily with the Republicans and the conservatives when they have doubts of the consistency about this bill, and when they see this bill and they see something just to be pointed out at January 6th. In the future, or in the hypothetical world where this bill gets passed, I see it as like something that would only be applied to January 6th, even though the language of the bill contains otherwise. But none of my 3 points have actually been answered. One, this is still a waste of political capital. The FBI has already investigated January 6th, and there's no good that open commissions with the congressmen who weren't even at the January 6th rallies could do. Two, it's not effective. Again, you've already charged 440 people. You're not going to get extra closers with Q&As. And three, consistency. They've never, aside from Joe Lewis, none of the other lefties on the panel ever had said whether this same bill or this same commission would be brought about with every BLM riot from the past and going forward. Would this be applied to the May 31st riot? Would this be applied to the Oakland riots trying to denounce Trump as a president? Would this be applied to the Portland riots, which completely burned down the city? Like, this cannot be consistent if it was only applied to the Republican riots. And for all of these three reasons, I have to negate this bill.
Thank you very much. Chase?
Yeah, I'm just so sad to hear that Portland literally no longer exists. It burned to the ground. It is no longer a city. Boy, it's really too bad. I always wanted to go there, and now I will never have the chance since Portland literally no longer exists. I was trying to just have a good time and lay back and have fun. And honestly, still am having a good time, still am having fun. But I'm just so sorry that reality isn't bending to what you want it to, guys. Like, the reality of this bill is very clear. There is a deadline. It is December 31st. The Democrats cannot arbitrarily extend it. It would require Republican votes to extend it. It would not still be going on during the 2022 election. That is a lie. The idea that this is going to be a public spectacle where it's just Congress people giving speeches, would there be some of that? Absolutely. But guess what? They specifically exempted this committee from the Federal Advisory Committee Act. Haven't heard of it? Neither had I. Turns out that's the one that forces it to be really open and public and like out in the open and for things to be televised. They exempted it. Why? Because they knew they could actually investigate things behind closed doors better. And you know what? If they wanted to make all of the things public and make it a spectacle, it would require Republican votes because it was a bipartisan commission, literally with equal numbers from each party. And the Republicans could pick whoever they wanted to go on that commission. All of the arguments against the commission that were made in the last hour were basically nonsensical if you actually read the bill about how the commission was going to be set up. And I am shocked that anyone who calls themselves a conservative wouldn't want to investigate further. For all we know, literally, China was paying people to go and riot at the US Capitol. We don't know that it didn't happen. Maybe we should investigate that. I'm hearing people say that, it could be true. I'm just astonished about these arguments. Just astonished. Thank you, Danabo.
Thank you very much, Chase. RdZoid?
Yeah, just to get my position out there, if I were there, I would probably vote for it. So I'm not here to say we shouldn't do it. I think the pros outweigh the cons, so to speak, for this commission. I just am worried that it would devolve into kind of what is typically known of hearings at Congress, especially like what Chase said. If it's out and more in the open, then I just think that's more of they're more likely to kind of devolve into kind of just that nonsensical, just kind of loaded questions, time reclaiming, kind of just yes or no kind of bullshit that we normally see. But overall, I'm probably in favor of it. I think most people should be. I just don't really consider that much bad coming from it, unless you're just like in a super red state or just something like your constituents won't like it. That's my position.
Yes, RD. Maddie Kicks.
Cool. Yeah. So I think obviously it's a real shame that the Republicans in the Senate decided to vote against, not even just vote against, but filibuster this commission. Especially it's especially sad when like their lives were in danger too during the insurrection. So it's weird. I just want to be a fly on the wall when they decided to vote against an investigation that could have like resulted in their murder. What a fun mindset that they are probably in. But yeah, I think, when we build a foundation on an argument like, oh, well, Congress, those things never get done or they always stuck or whatever, it's like, yeah, I don't know by what metric you're drawing to that conclusion. Because if we're going to do some sort of comparative analysis, well, let's ground it in something quantitative, right? Because that's how we ensure that we're not letting our own biases get in the way. So if we're going to make a claim like that, let's source it, let's cite it, let's name some sort of metric by which we are going to evaluate success, what constitutes success and what doesn't. Because the reality is that there have been a lot of commissions over the years that have led to change, that have helped uncover many things that the public deserves to know, especially when it is a public interest, especially when it is investigating something where people came from all over the country to attempt to stop a democratic process from happening because it didn't go the way they wanted it to. And also, if the claims are true that actually it was Antifa and that's who was really doing it, then that's even more reason for the GOP to vote for it. It's like, great, let's go get Antifa. Let's go arrest the undersecretary of buffoonery from Antifa and everyone will be safe. So yeah, I think it's very silly. And I'm excited for the palate cleanser because this is my new favorite segment in these debates is the palate cleanser.
You don't know what it is
segment.
yet. I don't know if you should be.
I'm
excited.
still excited, Danabo.
Thank you very
Don't
much,
take that
Mandy.
from me.
All right, before I go to the next guest, I want to do a quick shout out for myself. If you want to be on a panel show like this, or if you want to be on the Hippy Dippy or the Drunken Debates or Dr. Hume's game show, go to my Discord. There is a booking and recruitment section. Put your name down, put your politics down, and I will reach out to you to get you on a show. Also, if you are a viewer and you like these panel shows, please go to my Patreon, patreon.com/danabo, and throw me a few dollars. If you are a guest on any of these shows, do not pay me. Do not ever give me money to go to try and appear on a panel show. I will put you at the back of the list because that's a conflict of interest. I don't want Amazon gift cards. I do not want your money. What I do want is the viewers' money. So viewers, go to my Patreon, danabo, and throw me a few dollars. And we'll go to Nacho next, please.
Yeah, so I still don't understand why anyone would be necessarily against this. I mean, if you're afraid of the Biden administration like pushing through like far left administration, then it seems like you would want them to be tied up in this. You would want them to waste their time and money and come up with no witches and potentially lose the midterms and put themselves in a bad spot for the 2024 election. So it seems like you would want them to be wasting their time, even though I don't necessarily think it would probably be a waste of time. I have my doubts when it comes to the federal government as far as like Congress and like what their capabilities are. I prefer this for a totally different reason, which is that I want all of these Republicans that are like still on their knees for Trump to be called out. I want to see them come in front of a commission. I want them to answer questions about this. I don't think it's a waste of political capital. I want to see as a righty because I don't like Trump. I never have, and it would be good to be pointing out and damaging the potential of those who are in the Republican Party who are ready to bend the knee to him instead of moving on to a better candidate and leaving that bad history behind us. The FBI has already investigated all this stuff. Yes, true, but they've also come up with things as well. They're still currently investigating Antifa's attacks across the country as well as like riots at Black Lives Matter events. They just seized I don't know when this was, May 22nd. They seized $90,000 from the guy who was Black Lives Matter / Antifa organizer who was in the Capitol on the 6th. So I don't know. You kind of went back and forth. I don't want to call anybody up, but those who were arguing in favor went back and forth just as far as like how effective the FBI was, and then to like that it wasn't effective and that it also wasn't effective. So I'm not really sure. I think they're probably doing a decent job. And I think, Republicans might find a way to use this to investigate also those riots as well. I don't know how that's a bad thing. I think somebody brought that up way earlier, but I don't know. I don't know how you could still potentially be against this. I want to see this happen. I want to see us call out all these individuals who are bending the knee to Trump and kind of leave that shit behind us. So that's my take on that.
Thank you very much, Nacho. Mr. Joe Lewis, the O is a 0.
Yeah. I'm starting to get really pilled in believing that people on the internet who talk about politics are the most uninformed and uneducated individuals about the things they talk about. And I'm starting to get pilled on that really, really hard. I thought it started with leftists, but I mean, God, guys, you really gotta read these fucking bills and these things that are proposed in the historical context of committees and the historical context of just politics in the United States, because this is getting very insufferable and I'm trying so hard to hang on, but Jesus Christ. So I'm going to lay down a few things that are very, very clear here. The FBI cannot propose legislative solutions to problems. They can only investigate on things and diminish charges, which is fine if you're looking to get the people who are responsible for that. But in trying to make preventative measures, they don't really have the same type of power to do that. So having a separate piece of government, the legislature, to make a committee to analyze these things is something that we ought to pursue. The idea that committees are not as effective is about as it's something that I guess you could say if you were in like a 10th grade politics class, but the more you get educated on these things, the more you can see the value. There is a criticism to be had that the legislative solutions get sort of railroaded when they're actually proposed. Look no further, as I mentioned multiple times, but people don't fucking read, the Kerner Commission. The Kerner Commission basically laid out line for line what would happen now comparatively when we look at the riots for the BLM. But Congress did nothing. And fucking cuckhead piece of shit asshole Lyndon B. Johnson thought it was a good idea to use Vietnam and then the divided House and Senate as an excuse. Sounds a little bit familiar and analogous to what we're dealing with right now. Now, other even despite the fact that the National Advisory Commission on Civil Disorders was all in all a very good report. Another report that people kind of shrug under the rug, but was very significant to why we even had the skepticism of the FBI, of the CIA, is the Senate Select Committee to study government operations with respect to intelligence activities. That led to the Permanent Committee of the U.S. Senate Committee on Intelligence. And this is not to diminish the U.S. President's Commission on CIA activities within the United States, which was proposed by the president, and not the Pike Committee, which was proposed by the House, but it led to the single fixture of the U.S. Select Committee on Intelligence that's run by Mark Warner, who's the chair, and Marco fucking Rubio, who's the ranking member of that commission. Additionally, something that led to that commission indirectly is Project Shamrock with help of Edward Snowden. So the idea that committees don't have the impact that we're looking for is just ahistorical, and you should not have that take on the internet, because you will get dogpiled on people who read onto these things. To yield ground on one particular topic, which is something that I laid out multiple times, there needs to be an investigation and an actual committee and this will be bipartisan support. You're not going to see Democrats push back on this. We need to have an analysis on the conditions that led to the riots of last year in 2020. That is something that you will definitely see bipartisan support. I doubt anybody would object to that, because if we understand that those riots had the most property damage and damage physically in United States history domestically when it comes to riots and protests, it ought to have a commission. The problem is you cannot shoehorn that into HR 3233, because it will lead to the very things that TheSprouticus described, which is going to be railroading of like, we need more time with this, we need more time with this, we need more time with this. Because when you, like, this is something that Republicans wanted to include, like, why don't you include the riots? It's because comparatively the scope, one is significantly bigger than the other and ought to get special attention that is totally separate from January 6th. You cannot put those two together, or will lead to this thing where it will lead into the election of 2022 or even beyond that. So we should have a separate investigation for all the riots and protests that led in from 2019 to 2020, but we also need to have an investigation of the January 6th riots. Like, I understand we have legislative problems with commissions, and I was hoping we would get there, but Come on, guys, please. Please don't pill me. I might start calling you guys white soon. Like, it's getting really bad.
Thank you, Joe. All right. I let Joe have a bit of extra time there because he did say some things that were important that people should listen to and take notice. All right, Sprouticus.
I just want to point out something Joe said. He might be calling us white. Like, I don't know what that means, but
It's a dog whistle for taking a small bus to school.
Oh, so white people are retarded. Okay, got it.
I said,
come on, calm down. Sprout.
That seems extremely racist. Anyways, what I was gonna say is that this whole thing is going to be a waste of time from Congress. It's going to be a waste of money from Congress. Congress should be doing better things. Congress should actually be working for the American people. Congress should be working on COVID relief. Congress should be working on 20 million different things that Congress actually needs to work on versus investigation. Investigation should be left to the FBI. The FBI could be able to hold people criminally responsible, whereas Congress cannot hold people criminally responsible. I also want to point out some irony that I found in this. The irony is the left can't accept election audit. They can't accept election audits because they think that election audits are absolutely abhorrent. But they think that there should absolutely be investigations in January 6th. So you're gonna ask me, you're gonna say that election audits are absolutely abhorrent. But yet Hillary Clinton had election audits. You weren't against it then, but you're against it when Trump asked for election audits. So it's absolutely abhorrent for you guys to think this way. And for that reason, I think that mainly the left is arguing in bad faith about this. They're okay with it when it benefits their side. They're okay with bringing the big lie, which is the Russia collusion. The impeachment that lasted 2 years, starting before Trump was actually president, bringing up Russian collusion, absolutely abhorrent. Okay, so they're for that, but they're not for election audits. They're not for the FBI investigating where they can bring people criminally responsible, whereas Congress cannot. Congress is only going to take their results and put it into a paper and basically bring a public response to it. They're going to inherently bring it to the 2022 election where they know they're going to lose as of right now. Democrats are going to lose the House and the Senate if the 2022 election was today. The statistics are there. They're going to lose. So they're trying everything they can to not lose. With that being said, I'll end my time.
Thank you very much, Sprouticus. And last but not least, I've saved the best for last. Twitch.tv/NoCommentChick. Go give her a follow. Closing statements, please, Irene.
Geez, thanks for your mask offing about being an election truther. I was about to say, listen, I know that I said you all are sus, but I don't want to assume anything. Maybe I can assume some things about some of you, but like, yeah, I don't want to assume that you're on the side of those traitors that went in and like tried to hog tie democracy, right? I don't want to assume that because it seems like you're all good people here. I want to believe that you're all good people here, and I want you to be brave enough to stand up against Trump and the Trumpers. You said you were against these people that attacked our democratic process on January 6th. There's one way to show that, okay? Help us expose them and their allies in the Republican Congress. That way you can have your party back, right, from these scary people that you say that you're not with, that you keep on saying, like, I'm not about that shit, I'm not about, overturning the democratic results of an election, right? Prove it, right? I just want to see you step up, that's all. I don't hate you, I don't hate anybody. I talk to right-wingers in my chat every night. I'm not anti-right-winger, I don't look at you as anything other than human. Yeah, I have to suppress. I mean, like, you wouldn't have to suppress any more public hearings to keep Republicans from looking bad that way. If you weren't, if you didn't have that contingent that was trying to overthrow the country, that was trying to overthrow the democratic process after it goes on. An investigation needs to take place for the American people to understand exactly who attacked us and why. And that's what this commission is about. Yield my time.
Thank you very much, Irene. Right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. I want everybody back by 30 minutes past the hour. Everybody go empty their bladders. We'll be back at 8:30 with the next topic, which will be revealed at that time. Right, 5 minutes, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to respond to what I was asking because I had questions and I won't.
All right, chat. I'll be back in 5. Hope you enjoyed the first topic. I think it went kind of well. Bit of spice. Bit of chill. Some nice steel benches. Right, we're back in a couple of minutes. What? How's everybody in chat doing? You got 2 minutes left. Remember, my chat is not to be toxic. Do not harass panelists, do not name call. I don't want it. Go in a different chat and do that if you must. Don't want to hear. I think I'm dehydrated. I'm only drinking big red Coke. God save our gracious queen. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah. God save the queen. That one. Right, it's 8:30. I'm going back.
Walked in, took a selfie, and walked out. But
maybe right away.
Maybe
Maybe initially, but very shortly after it was like breached, there was like a wall of people that formed to keep people out. So not only would you have to like bust through them,
I know,
like,
but
bust through the rest of the
there
crowd.
were a number of people who entered the Capitol building, did nothing, took a picture, walked out. There are
Oh, yeah,
those people.
sure.
However, those people are not being charged. Prosecutorial discretion is being used.
But either way,
look,
like
American
even if you're one of those people, you had to be with the people who ran through all the fucking barriers, or right the fuck behind them.
Again,
There's just no way you didn't know what just happened to allow you to enter the building. That's all I'm saying. Like, so you deserve whatever is coming to you. That's all I'm saying.
Whoa! That next statement is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that statement.
Okay,
That
if you
whatever
hand
in-
someone a shovel
Oh,
to
wait,
bury
no,
a
no, let
dead
me
body,
finish.
what do you think?
That whatever,
What do you
that
think?
whatever,
What do you
that-
think you
that
are?
whatever, that whatever,
Like, you're an
that
accomplice.
whatever is doing a lot of heavy lifting in the statement. If that whatever includes solitary confinement in up to 20 years, I am not okay with that. If that whatever includes like a fine and like maybe like jail up to a month, I'm
Probably a
I'm
pretty
pretty okay with
severe
that.
base
You can't
limit
just
fine,
you can't
like,
just
yeah.
make charges that aren't going to stick.
What?
Like, you're not like no one's going to get charged for
what?
Yeah, I
20
don't think-
years on their actions unless they did something especially heinous.
Wait,
They're not gonna
what I've
charge
heard,
people.
what
The
I've heard,
prosecutors on these are being extremely judicious and very careful,
I
and they
could
are
be
using a lot
wrong.
of discretion.
What did I miss?
And I mean,
I could
everybody
be
who
wrong.
You
What I've
everybody
heard
who's
okay,
in
all right.
there-
So ready. Here it is. Stop being a dumb fuck on the Internet Challenge 2021. You ready? The FBI announces the charges of everybody who was charged, and you can look it up online. It's public record. You
I
go on
did,
the
and
FBI.
I did, and what I've heard,
And,
yeah,
no,
and
don't
what
say
I've
what I've
heard.
heard.
that there-
Don't say what I've heard. Say what I've
what I
read.
saw,
Leave
We
with
heard a
that.
lot about
Leave with
the
that
bill,
rhetoric.
too.
Right, I guess this is
Leave
the
with
new
that
topic,
rhetoric.
right?
prosecuting.
Okay, I think everyone's back.
Charges-
Everybody start. Everybody
Yeah,
start.
so
Okay.
lead with what I've
Irene's
read.
back.
Never say
Irene's
what
back.
I've
All right. Welcome back, everyone.
I'll stick around after cut sleeves if you want to talk.
All right. You do
For
that.
sure.
Welcome back, everyone. Until further notice, I need to turn the lo-fi hip hop off. Right. Thank you very much for coming back. We're about 2 minutes late, but that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so this is Until Further Notice, Bird Brains edition with our special guest Irene. And for the palate cleanser today, we've got something that may interest Irene. What I'm going to do is go around each one of you and ask you what your favorite cartoon is for the past 20 years. I'm going to say cartoon because I know some people don't specifically watch anime. You can just include your favorite anime, but best cartoon of the past 20 years. That includes series or feature film. You're welcome to say either one. And we're going to start off with who do I think most likes cartoons? Maddie.
I mean, I am a cartoon, so I guess that's a fair assumption. Oh my god. I mean, there have been so many good cartoons that have come out. Like, and I'm gonna give two answers. I'm sorry, because I feel like I have to have a major motion picture as one answer and then series as another. And like one of my favorite movies of all time is Up. Like that movie made me bawl like a baby in the first 10 minutes with the love story that was told. They nailed how like the personality of dogs, and it was just what a beautiful movie with such a hopeful message. So Up would be my movie. And then for a series, I mean, again, there's been so many freaking good ones, but I gotta say the one that I always pivot back to and like makes me happy no matter what, and is still going, and like every single episode still good, is Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers is so goddamn good. I have a Luis hat somewhere with my like bunny ears, but yeah, those would be my answers.
Thank you, Maddie. Who do we throw to? RdZoid.
If I'm going off,
Difficult.
okay, pure quality, I would say it just because of seniority probably has to be The Simpsons. Although there's a very good argument that the show should have been killed off a long time ago. But if I'm going with my personal favorite and what I think has more, I guess, I don't know if I should just say funny, but I'll say funny per second or whatever is Futurama. Before it came back, like the end seasons that they added on when they brought it back kind of diluted it a little bit. But from when it started to when it stopped the first time, it was like every single episode was a banger. They were just pumping out jokes every single episode, like good ones too, and it was like I don't think anything really comes close to how funny Futurama was.
Remember to take this topic very seriously. There is a clear answer here, and somebody should give it. We'll go to Joe next.
This is kind of a complicated question, actually. Mainly because I have a long answer. The reason is that a lot of the best animated series and television shows of all time have different levels of significance for them. Like you can make a clear argument for all of them. The Simpsons changed the way that not only people treated animated shows, but the way that comedy in animation was treated, and it influenced a lot of other shows. You could argue that Steven Universe, considering its societal impact and its social impact for the short amount of time that it existed, you could give that respect. But I have two answers. When it comes to legacy and the influence that it had on media, hands down, Batman the Animated Series. There's no animated show that had as much influence not only within the animated genre of superheroes, but broadly within superhero just like media. And a lot of the tropes that we know of in animated superhero shows and then the non-animated superhero shows are borrowed directly from Batman the Animated Series. The second answer, which is a popular one, I would say is The Simpsons. The Simpsons changed the way that we treat family and dichotomy and how people like watch shows all together, especially animated ones. Honorable mentions, I would say BoJack Horseman, Steven Universe, Archer, and Daria.
Nacho.
Okay, so the question was just like, what's the best cartoon?
I did
Right.
specify since 2000, but they've cheated a little. But yeah,
Since 2000. Holy shit. So I'm gonna.
Oops.
I don't know if you're classifying like anime as a cartoon, but like
this is why I did it, because I don't know much about anime, but there are people on the panel that do. So anime will
I
be
would
included in the
say-
category of cartoon.
well, mine probably falls under like both of them, I guess, to some degree. Like my go-to would be like Dragon Ball Z, obviously. But like if we're talking about like what, like Joe brought up something, like if we're talking about like what had an like a really big impact on me, like as a child, I gotta go with like Teen Titans, man, like the original Teen Titans. So I don't know. That's those are my answers. This is a hard question.
So glad you didn't say Teen Titans Go, but yeah.
No. Jesus Christ, not the new one. That's not the real Teen Titans, okay?
It doesn't count. Yeah.
On that note, we'll go to Irene.
All right, so oh my god, it's like so hard to decide, and you all just jogged my memory. I wasn't even thinking. I was like going straight for the anime, but then Joe mentioned Steven Universe. Steven Universe is great. The Danabo mentioned that some people had cheated, so they went further back than 20 years. So I'm gonna say Serial Experiments Lane for like your old school anime, and for the newer ones, I really liked Boogie Pop and Others. So I gave you an anime answer, an American cartoon / CalArts answer, and a classic anime answer. So I think I'm covered.
Leaves.
You're muted, bro.
Right, nice.
Say me?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he said like.
Cut sleeves. Cut sleeves.
Okay, cool. So for the American one, I really like Avatar. Avatar is my favorite American show. For the anime one, I really like the Promised Neverland, and for a combination of both, I really like the Boondocks.
Okay. I'm worried about what's going to happen here. Chase.
Yeah. Why are you worried about it's gonna? Okay.
I answered.
Because I asked the question.
You
Yeah.
asked the question.
All I wanted to address, because there's a last time first time rule.
Yep.
Is it was asserted that the folks on the left on this panel were flip-flopping by saying that the FBI is bad or the FBI is good. Just so we're clear, I brought up that the FBI was corrupt to mock the inconsistency of the right, who have continually said the FBI is corrupt and can't be trusted, and then say, oh, we should trust the FBI in this. That's what that was, and I'm really sorry about, you've drank too much milk, so your skull's really thick or whatever. But that was dangerously close to an ad hom. I'm sorry, Danabo. My apologies. I don't think any of you are dumb. You're all wonderful. there's a bunch of great cartoons that got brought up. Unfortunately, some of them are from the 90s. Daria is like a really good pull, but from the 90s, which doesn't fit down to those criteria. And I was definitely like a 90s Nickelodeon kid. Like, get me some Rocko's Modern Life. Get me some Real Monsters, Rugrats. There's just so many, like so many good cartoons in the 90s. And after that, like, things get different. You know, there's like, I think Recess might have been technically in the aughts. That was really fantastic. Honestly, BoJack Horseman, I literally only watched in the last year. Oh, that's a lot, honestly. Watching that for the first time during the pandemic when I was already like, we'll say not totally emotionally ready for it. That was something. Like, oh boy, that dementia episode. Oh boy, that hit way too close to home. If I had to pick one though, and this may be kind of a weird one, but if I had to pick one series or cartoon that really had a major impact on me that I still reference to this day that I still love, Homestar Runner.
Thank you, Chase. Right. For the audience, for the people that are wondering what we meant by last first, it's a rule that isn't written down. It's a tree of logic rule. The last time that you can address the previous topic is in the opening statement of the next topic. So that's what Chase was doing. He was addressing the last topic in the opening statement of this topic. On that note, we're going to go to Sprout. So, best cartoon.
Right.
And you can address the previous topic in the opening statement. This is the last time it can be addressed.
So I got plenty of time. The FBI can hold people criminally accountable. The Congress cannot. That's where I'll leave that. I think the best cartoon movie is definitely. I say definitely, but I have confusion in my head on what the best cartoon movie is. But I'm gonna say Wreck-It Ralph. And the best cartoon TV series. I'm gonna go with Family Guy. And if you disagree, fuck you, fight me. All right, let's go.
Was that the right answer? Was Family Guy the right answer?
Family Guy's the right answer. I got both the right answers. Like, I just got the right answers all around.
I think you might have just won.
Wait,
I think.
you think?
Wait.
Wait, are we in open discussion?
We're not in open discussion, right?
Okay, sorry.
Family Guy started in '99.
Wait, no. Right. The reality is, right, that none of you got the correct answer. The correct answer, of course, is Lego Batman. You see, Lego Batman is the correct answer to every bonus fun time topic, and you should get this by now. We've had three in a row, and the answer is Lego Batman. You can go into open discussion.
I can't believe I've been.
Okay, so if we're talking about the past 20 years, then I'm going to retract my statement and revise it. So if we're talking about things that have come out in 2000s, Archer hands down. Steven Universe doesn't have the largest sample size yet, and neither does BoJack Horseman. Now that might change in a few years, though. But right now, comparatively on sample size and quality of work.
What do you mean by sample size, Joe?
Archer's been around for 10 years. Steven Universe is around for 7, and BoJack Horseman is around.
Oh, so you're giving like a historian perspective.
That's what I'm
like, we
trying to
haven't
figure out
given
too.
it
Like,
enough of a gap.
There's not
always.
You can't think of a single season of Archer that was inherently bad. Like, you can say the trend
Always.
within certain
Always.
So here's the question, dude. Like, are we talking
Lego
about
Batman.
like that these cartoons
TTV.
like had
Get out
to
of
like
here.
start in the 2000s, or it's like they could still be on air
Always
through the
Lego
2000s?
Batman.
Get out of
Because
here.
Always.
Out of here.
obviously,
Get
like
out.
every
The
cartoon
CTV
that started
here-
in the 90s
Oh my
is gonna win
God.
this, right?
Well, sure.
Yeah. All right. He's
But if we do that logically, then Pokemon hands down.
That's
No,
what I'm
Family
saying.
Guy.
Like, if
Family
we're just
Guy.
talking about like cartoons that are still on the air into the 2000s, or if we're talking about like cartoons that are like started in the 2000s, or maybe got their like biggest following in the 2000s, I don't know.
Listen,
We're
Nacho,
overthinking the
I
bonus
like
fun
you.
time.
I like you. You're my personal friend, Nacho. But Family Guy is definitely the answer here. They mock
That's-
what we do. They
God,
mock
that's
the
the only wrong
inconsist-
answer.
they mock
They've
the
long-
talking about, like, the
inconsistency
drawn out
politically.
jokes.
And not only do that, they predict stop.
Um,
They predict the fucking future. Okay, so not
The
only does
Simpsons
Family
does a
Guy
much better
mock
job
what
if
we
we're
do
doing that.
politically, they predict the fucking future. All right,
The
Family Guy
Simpsons
is the
already
correct
did it.
answer. Fight me.
The Simpsons already did it, and if we're talking about just the first, like when Family Guy came out, yeah, but it's pretty based. But like now, Family Guy fucking sucks, and there's no debating that.
Fight
if
me,
you-
Nacho. Fight me.
And if you
No,
view-
so here's the
Like-
problem with Family Guy is Family
Past
Guy's
the first couple
humor.
seasons, it's garbage.
Fa-
I'm sorry.
Family Guy's humor is really, really good the first time. But like every game of Cards Against Humanity, once you've seen the card like 3 or 4 times, it's just no longer funny.
yeah, and I mean, and
Chase,
even in terms of
you're no longer
numbers,
funny. Later, the longer I listen to you, you're no longer funny. All right, fight me. Family Guy
Yeah,
is the answer to this
No
question.
one's gonna
All
fight
right.
you.
It's
Stop
really
saying
not,
that.
dude.
I don't know. I mean, Family Guy never breached 10 million viewers for a season ever,
I mean,
even at its peak.
I don't think that
Like-
viewership defines good though.
Oh,
Not gonna lie,
absolutely.
Not gonna
on free
lie, I'm a
internet,
little bit
free internet.
offended that no one chose Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
And even like
I
when you
just
look
don't
at-
know why. Like, I'm not picking anything from the 2000s. Like, if I'm being completely honest, like, I don't even know why we're like hung
That's the
up
question.
on the
You've
2000s.
got to. You've got to. That's the question.
I know, but like, I don't want to. Like, everything from the 90s was better. I'm sorry.
I mean, even
Yep,
if you
true.
like, even if you're being charitable, like still, I would say that like if you're looking for an anime that had influence, you could use Pokemon for your argument. Pokemon lasted through 2000, and obviously the Indigo season, the Indigo League lasted for up until like the end of '99. But you still have 20 years of work to use it comparatively. I can't think of a single animated franchise that has not only the staying power but the ability to stay relevant for as long as Pokemon has, and they're still going. So
I love Pokemon, but when I think of things that had like a deep impact on like my personal development, like I enjoyed it. I loved it. Like in elementary school, I was all bought into Pokemon. But if I think about like its impact on me, its ability to affect change, Pokemon is good. It feels good. It's a good story. I don't know if it affects change.
what do you mean affects change?
Well,
Alright,
if you
maybe-
look at
Are you
Maybe
one
I
of
was
those
wrong when
psychos
some
that
of
didn't
these
cry
came out.
when Ash turned to stone? It was like Pikachu.
That was the
It's like,
movie.
Your
That
parents
was
were
the
there in the
movie.
theater, and they were like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Oh no!
All right, so
Toxic masculinity
I
here.
just found out that Aqua Teen Hunger Force came out in the 2000s, and I need to retract
Ooh,
my
that's-
answer. Okay,
That's a good pull.
definitely on the top of the board there. And if we're talking about movies, like movies that came out in the 2000s, Jimmy Neutron. I'm sorry, like
Wreck-It Ralph,
fucking
man.
Wreck-It Ralph has nothing on Jimmy Neutron. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, come
I mean,
on.
Jimmy Neutron
So
changed
what's
the way that
what's the problem, Nacho? Why
Dude,
is your
Jimmy
brain
Neutron
so
was
mixed
fucking
up when you come with
based,
cartoons?
bro.
When you come with cartoons, why is your brain so mixed up,
Wreck-It
man? I've
Ralph
talked to
is
you. I've talked to you,
garbage.
and you're so based, Nacho. You're so based. But when you come to
Garbage.
cartoons, your opinions are just all over the place.
Dude,
Come on,
Jimmy
man.
Neutron changed the way we view like nerds, bro. Jimmy Neutron made like intelligence like cool.
Man, you
You
get
kidding me? This is what we
Wreck-It Ralph
want,
or
man.
Dexter's
Family
Lab.
Guy.
Huh?
I don't
Dexter's
know
Lab.
Wreck-It
if
Ralph
I
or
could.
Family Guy.
I don't know if I could stand by that claim because I think Dexter's Lab has
That's
more of a
exactly
precedent
it.
of establishing
true.
like being smart is okay.
But is
Jimmy
that in
was
the
just
2000s?
To be
No, that
fair,
was
But I'm
90s.
Jimmy
talking about
Neutron
movies, though.
was- yeah, to
That
be
was
fair,
my
though,
pick
to-
for movies.
Yeah, to give you some ground, right? Jimmy Neutron was a calculated risk because no one in Nickelodeon or Viacom thought that was going to be successful. They thought that show was dog shit, and they stalled
That
it
shit
for
was
as long as possible.
huge.
And then it exploded, and they're like, okay, maybe we should actually listen to the people in Nickelodeon.
Yeah, I'm just specifically talking about the movie Jimmy Neutron. I never even watched the show. But
No,
just that first movie.
it changed the way that like how animation worked, and their turnaround was incredible for shows. Like people give a lot of sort of credence to South Park. Jimmy Neutron's turnaround was about the equivalent, where they had a non-existent budget, and they were able to spit that out. So I'll give it from like a technical aspect for sure. I don't know about social. I mean,
I can't believe how serious people are taking this topic. All right, I think that's it for the palate cleanser. I think we're done. I think everybody realizes the correct answer was Lego Batman, and there was no argument against it, so that's fine.
This is
Everyone
for the
agrees. Audience laugh.
Laugh. All right, there you go.
I think that was what's his face moment. Please clap. What was his name?
Also, all the
Please clap.
90s cartoons were probably
Yeah.
better though.
Yeah, that was it. Jeb Bush. Yeah.
Definitely the movies
Honestly,
too, okay?
we could have had a serious argument just about 90s cartoons. I mean, except for cut sleeves. Sorry.
No, nobody has.
Yeah.
No
What?
cartoon
You
has
think
anything
Cutsleeves
on
doesn't
Lion
know
King,
culture?
okay?
Because Cutsleeves is a cultured person. He knows all the 90s cartoons.
Rocket power.
Rocket Power was so good.
Why is
Oh
Rocket
my
Power?
god.
Anyway,
Wiggity,
anyway,
wiggity,
anyway, anyway. End of Pellet
Chaz,
Cleanser.
reboot.
We're gonna give one closing statement, and I'm going to be biased, and I'm just going to give the closing statement to Irene. No comment check. Closing statement on the best cartoon since the 2000s, and that's it. No one else gets to talk on this one.
There's a lot of good cartoons. There's a lot of bad cartoons. There's more bad cartoons than there are of good cartoons. But hopefully, with the good cartoons, you learned the lessons that you were supposed to learn. The important stuff, like never trust a purple and pink-haired sales associate trying to convince you to leave your Pikachu with them. Don't trust those people, right? You learn stuff, right, from your cartoons, and that's what's important. It's not important what cartoon you like the best. It's important what you learned from the cartoons. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Irene. All right. We're going to go into the next topic, which is what everybody's talking about, the Kink at Pride discourse. Whether or not there should be Kink at Pride, nobody is going to define this. You're going to argue incoherently about something that you haven't defined, and it's going to last about an hour, and nobody's going to learn anything. This is the most fun discourse on Twitch right now. Everybody's into it. We're going to start with me doing another advert. If you like going on panel shows, go to my Discord and put your name in the looking for guest section, and I will put you on a show like this. If you want me to continue working on this, go to my Patreon and throw me a couple of dollars. And yeah, let's go into it. So the Kink at Pride discourse. We're going to open with, apparently this guy's got a very different take on the Kink at Pride discourse. Nacho.
Oh, I do? Okay.
What have I heard?
First of all, I think the first question to the entire panel, once we go into open discussion, should be to define kink. I just think that if you want to see LGBTQ, whatever, like if you want to see this, if you want to see Pride succeed, and you want this to be like what we're fighting for in the beginning of Pride, etc., is to be normalized and not, something that you hide away in the basement, whatever. I think that having, people walking around in like assless chaps with like a ball gag in their mouth and like handing a balloon to your kid is probably not gonna be like a positive picture for your movement. I think it would be nice to be able to be driving by, a pride parade, and my kid's like, "Hey, what are all those rainbows?" And I could just be like, "Well, you know what? Let's go find out." And I don't have to run into any of that stuff. So I think generally we should just keep these two things separate. Have a kink parade and do that stuff there. And I've never seen or heard of anybody being discriminated against because of their kinks or what they like to do in the bedroom. So I mean that's really it for me. Just keep these things. Have a night event. There's usually these things happen over the course of a couple of days. Have a night event every night. You know what I mean? Or just have a whole separate. They already have BDSM parades and other stuff like that. So I mean, or events. It seems like you could just keep that stuff there. That's really it.
Yes, Nacho. Maddie.
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 Wait,
Meow.
she's not in the Discord.
She just wants to say her name.
Maddie.
Let me look. Maddie is not.
Maddie's not in the Discord. All right, we'll go to Irene.
Kink at Pride. Yeah, this has been my life for the past week. It's a horrible discourse. It started with Lauren Southern taking a picture of a completely unrelated event and somehow has become the Takemeister that wouldn't quit. What a Takemeister is when somebody has like puts out a spicy take there that they intend to like reel back. So they put the spicy take out, then they get the debate, and then when you get to the debate, they're like, oh no, actually I meant something completely right, and it went wrong, it went bad. Vosh and Demon Mama fought, two of the most influential Twitch streamers on me, honestly. It hurt to see. Obviously, I agreed more with what Demon Mama said than with what Vosh said. I guess I understand where people are coming from with this, but it's become so toxic because the effect of this discourse has been to sort of segment the LGBT community along lines of like who's more acceptable to straight people, right? And that's something that we shouldn't do. That's something that we need to avoid if we're going to have solidarity. I feel like no one has actually pointed to an instance of real harm. All they've done is spread this moral panic that is putting people's lives in danger. So yeah, I'll try to keep myself, from being too emotional about it. But yeah, it's kind of an emotional thing.
Thank you, Irene. And because RD is eating, let's go to Sleeve. Go Sleeve.
Hey, hello. Is my mic working okay?
You're good.
Okay. So I want to address a couple of points. One, why do people need to express their pride? Well, people need to express their pride because they feel like their pride's being attacked. Now, there are some good and bad things to it. One, if you're being mocked for your pride, I think it picks a bad picture on it to just express your pride more, but it's also good in the community aspect. Now, you might be asking, Sleeves, why are you going through this point? It's because the community is the part of kink. People who like to express their kink feel like they have a community in the LGBT rallies. Now, the question is, should we strip them away from the community to protect the people of children? People more innocent than us? Well, I think a couple of things. One, we need to find a definition of kink. What concerns us kink? Because if someone's just wearing a strap of leather, I don't think that's bad. If someone's wearing a whole dog suit, I don't think that's bad. Now, if you're half naked, I'd have some problems with it. But the second thing is, whose responsibility is it that children get hurt? Well, I'd propose this, that one, no one should be able to be forced to wear any certain attire in their movement. It's their movement. It's their choice. I'd actually lay the responsibility on the parents. If you take your kid somewhere where you know that there's going to be things that you don't like, then it shouldn't be on them. The onus is not on them to change for you. The onus is on you to change for them. This is the same logic as you wouldn't take your kid to a strip club. Why? Because you know what's going to be there. So I don't think the onus should be on the movementers or someone else to legislate what they wear. I think if they feel a sense of community, that they should be able to express that. I think the onus is on the parents. I yield.
Cheers, Mr. Sleeve. All right. Let's go to Joe.
Okay.
We're doing it, Joe.
Gonna try to stay calm while I go through this. Can just from a show of hands, how many people just are you from Canada? From a show of hands. Great, we can stop having Canadians dictate our discourse in politics. I'm glad we all fucking agree there. Holy shit. Imagine that your entire discourse is based upon the rhetoric of a white nationalist. And then instead of just saying, hey, this stupid idiot has no significance and giving her any type of credence gives her political power. God, imagine if we didn't do that. That'd be so fucking base. Holy shit. Canadians, you gotta step that shit up. You're not bringing your best. Because if Lauren Southern is going to be the voice of the discourse of your politic, you guys are fucked, absolutely fucked. And I'm so sorry that you have that piece of rotten human filth as the individual who is dictating your politics online. Because Jesus Christ, you can do better. I'd rather have Trudeau in blackface for his entire political career than listen to Lauren Southern speak another fucking sentence. Anyway, I have DJ'd and worked at almost 30 Pride events in New Jersey. That's on average about, when I started, like 2 to 3 a year. I have never, ever, in my time working directly on parades and working with committees for these events, have any type of idea that kink is this wide-scale problem within my state. Why do I say within my state? Because every state, here's the spoiler alert, right? Every state has different laws and regulations about lewdness and expression. In New Jersey, they're very specific about lewdness and expression. So you are not going to see the level of lewdness that you think exists if you believe that there's kink at Pride, especially in the state of New Jersey. Now, you might have some anecdote about some after party that's after the actual event hours, and that's totally fine. I too can strawman a take, but I'm not going to strawman a take here. Very, very generally, right? And here's some of the cop takes that are gonna make people a little uncomfortable. cops should be at Pride. Cops are at Pride, believe it or not. They're actually usually undercover. How do you know this? You get an individual like counterpoints in just a open expression that looks like he just went to Target to get his clothes. And the cops haven't really figured out a way to be like quiet and infiltrate the ranks of these events. However, there's a very clear understanding that police officers can't really be in the clothes that they do for their police duties to make a safe environment. So in New Jersey, they had to change things up to show that they're just part of the event. They're there to protect people. One of the things that I keep hearing is that cops shouldn't be at Pride. I mean, cool. I'm so glad that there are people who have dumb opinions, and I really hope they don't enter politics and make that into laws, because holy shit, if you believe that cops shouldn't be at Pride, you are actually fucked. Now, with that being said, I guess to close it out here, we are not going to, under any stretch of the imagination, stop certain types of expression at events. Basically, what I'm trying to say here in how you would say the nicest of ways, and this is a take that people might not, I don't know, what's the word, be on board with, but do I want to say it? Yeah, I kind of want to say it. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is it's not possible to eliminate risk and harm entirely for children, either online or offline. This includes Pride events. There's even evidence that suggests children's exposure to this certain degree of risk, according to what's called evolutionary capacity, right, helps people build resilience to prepare them for the adult world once they reach 18. But then you get the internally online people who sprout up in their heads, are you supporting pedophilia? No, you dumb fuck. So go back to your Twitter and talk to people who exist online, and just don't talk to me, because I'm offline. I'm internally offline and talk about this shit all the time. So my point is this. Kink at Pride is a stupid conversation that is perpetuated by a white nationalist. So keep that in mind as you navigate it. So any of your anger that you have to another individual is directly connected to a white nationalist. So if that's something you want to sleep well with, have at it. But that's all I got.
Thank you, Joe. RdZoid.
Yeah, I'd agree that this topic it's pretty dumb, but it just seems like if I have to have a thought on it, it just seems kind of weird that the like you would want something to show or represent part of your movement as being like this hypersexual thing, when it, at least I think it's kind of been a part of the mission to get away from that stereotype. So that is kind of a point that I have. The only other thing, I tried to look up the to see what like Pride themselves say about this sort of thing, and I couldn't really find anything. I just found like their website, and just like a small quote from it. The diversity, accessibility, and inclusion. It's kind of vague, but I suppose you could make an argument that Kink would be involved in that. But you probably wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to say something is not allowed while preaching about like being inclusive. So I mean that kind of makes sense. But the only other thing is there was when I was looking for kind of stuff about this issue, there wasn't really a whole lot, except there was one website I found where there was a self-described leather pup from New York, and he was, quote, if I want to wear a jockstrap and a harness and a pup hood, I'm going to do so. If parents want to bring their kids to a Pride event, they can educate their children on what they are experiencing. Wait until those children are old enough to make informed decisions for themselves, which I probably won't necessarily disagree with. But then it ends, or stick to the family/kids safe events. So if this quote is true, like from an actual person, then you actually have someone from the event who participates in it saying that there are other events that are more oriented, or maybe not involving something that wouldn't be kid friendly. So I just kind of find that interesting, I guess. But yeah, I'd probably, like, overall, I don't really have a strong position on this. There maybe just be questions regarding it, and then it probably won't even get that. It doesn't really cross my mind that much.
Thank you very much, RD. Maddie, how's your audio?
Yeah, sorry about before. I my audio, like my Bluetooth headphones, like both I have 2 pairs and they both conspired against me. And I've called the police. So the investigation's ongoing. So yeah, the whole thing about Pride, I've been going to Pride for I guess more than a decade now, and I've gone to Pride in countries actually all over the world. Um and I never really saw kink as ever like a problem or even like threatening the quote like family friendly part of aspect of pride. But that's also because when we want to talk about what the definition of family friendly is, often what that is sort of like coded language for is family friendly according to the like Puritan Christian right, where any displays of any like overt sexuality or behavior that they deem deviant is like supposed somehow like going to explode kids' brains. Um, and I think the best thing you can do in any sort of scenario, especially when you're going to Pride for to an event that is rooted in a history of protest, is rooted in a history of declaring that they have the right to not only the right to exist, but to exist proudly and openly. Um, I think the best thing you can do if you want to bring your kids is just talk to them. Tell them, hey, like when I was little and my mom would take me to Pride, like because she did a few times, and like she's like, hey, you might see some naked people. You might see some people wearing some outfits that you might think are like a little silly or crazy, but it's because they want to. They choose to. They're adults. Just be nice to them and show them dignity and respect. So like as long as you talk to your kids about that sort of thing, then they're not going to be scarred when they see something, that maybe like a naked person walk by or a leather daddy walk by, because they sort of have already been briefed on it. And like Joe mentioned, this dialogue is brought up every year and it stems from a collective campaign against pride, against the LGBTQ plus community, and it's really annoying that people took the bait.
Thank you, Maddie. SprouticUs.
I am so glad you called on me next. Like you don't know how unbelievably glad I am you called on me next, Danabo. So I'm against Pride. I'm against Kink in general, not Pride. I'm sorry, I apologize. I mixed those two up. I'm against Kink in general. And I don't think Kink should be exposed in Pride. I don't think Kink should be exposed in Mardi Gras. I don't think kink should be exposed in public at all. And that's just kind of where I stand. And if you disagree with me, like Chase obviously does by writing "yikes" on a little notepad there and hanging it up to the camera, then how would you guys feel if someone who completely believed in 50 Shades of Grey showed that in a grocery store? Like, how are you going to explain some guy slapping his girl because she looked at another guy? Like, please explain to me how you're going to explain that. If kink should be shown, then kink should be shown all the time. But you guys aren't going to go to that. You guys are going to say that gay people get a pass because they're gay, because it's pride, they get a pass. And that's what you're going to say. But this is absolutely ridiculous. This is absolutely asinine. I'm against showing kink in anything. I'm against people showing their boobs in Mardi Gras. I'm against showing sexuality in public. I don't know why it's given a pass by the left because they're gay or because they're part of the LGBT. It seems absolutely asinine to me, and that's where I'll leave my statement.
Okay, thank you, Sprout. All right. See where this is going. So this is going to be a 7-on-1 versus Sprout. Chase, you're up next. Oh, he's muted.
Son of a bitch. Oh, God. I was worried you were about to Joe Rogan me and silence another white man. Woke culture nowadays. What do you have? So I want to acknowledge two things right up front. And number one, it's that I've got buns of steel, and if you don't want me to wear a Speedo in public, you can bite my shiny metal ass, okay? Number 2, white gay men are absolutely the worst. Okay, we just should acknowledge that. It's true. It's a fact. So I took some notes. I was really hoping that I'd get through one of the right-wing people without having to write something down. But I want to acknowledge first that Sleeves, Nacho, both are asking about a definition for kink. And I think that's really important. Because you know what? A couple decades ago, being gay would absolutely have been defined as a kink. So we need to be very careful about what we're talking about and what we're actually saying. I honestly would encourage us to just stop using that word in this conversation and be very clear about what we mean. If you don't want to see people having sex in public, say you don't want to see people having sex in public. Don't say you don't want to see kink, because that is literally a meaningless phrase. If you say you don't want to see kink, I'm just going to assume that you're saying you don't want to see two men kissing and you're a homophobe. Okay? So be very clear. When I bring up sex in public, it's an interesting one because there's this mural that the right seems to be painting of pride events as raunchy, sex-filled orgies, pedophilic orgies, of course. And I think it's just because they've never gone to a pride event. They don't know that that shit just doesn't happen. Or if it does, it's an extreme minority. Are there events that shit does happen at? Yeah, but it's not pride as like a big word. I had to absolutely laugh when RdZoid said, yeah, I was trying to figure out what Pride's official stance was, and I found their website, as if there is a pride, like this magical giant pride that encompasses every single Pride event. Pride is an intensely localized phenomenon, and that context is really, 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 really important. I was in Toronto during Pride, and they had a bunch of cool Pride stuff happening out on the streets, outdoor concerts, fun stuff, people of all ages out there. And you set foot into any bar in the neighborhoods that were
Chase.
Pride-filled,
Chase.
and you're instant. Yeah.
Just to interrupt, you said Toronto. We're not mentioning Canada.
Oh, I'm sorry. Undisclosed location. Undisclosed location. But you go into any bar off the street in this redacted location. And there's flim-flams. There's flim-flams all over the place. But you know what? That's what the local context is all about. They know exactly what those events are. You know what you're going to expect when you go into a bar. You know what? I am all in favor of protecting cut sleeves. Cut sleeves shouldn't be exposed to, unwarranted, public sex. But that's not what is happening. That is not what is happening at Pride. And you're complaining, Spreadicus, about 50 Shades of Grey. They sell 50 Shades of Grey at the damn grocery store. They literally sell it there. I don't know what you're talking about. The first time I saw a copy of 50 Shades of Grey was at the freaking grocery store. What even is this? And Nacho, this quote, man, I wrote the whole thing down because I was just so taken. Like, what? I've never heard of anyone being discriminated against for their kinks, for what they do in the bedroom. Literally, the entire Pride movement is about not being super proud necessarily. It is about rejecting the shame that was imposed upon people for having an alternative sexual lifestyle that they could not choose. TheSprouticus.
Thank you very much, Chase. All right. Remember to keep it civil. I can see where this is going, so enjoy Sprouticus. Enjoy fighting everyone on this. I'm sure it'll be fun for everyone. Once again, thanks everyone for hanging out and tuning in. Go for it.
Hold on, real quick. Before you start, can I say one positive thing? I just saw so many dogs in like the last 10 minutes, and I'm so happy, and I love all of you.
Well, I have only one take for Sprouticus. I think this is the only appropriate take, considering of people who have followed my channel. So I'm going to let everybody else fight. I'm just going to leave you with this, okay? Like, there's a very clear lane that I run on my Twitch channel.
On the panel, so Joe.
I'm just saying, like, Joe, I'm just going to abstain from this discourse because I might out myself as a little too horny. So have at it, guys. Have fun, okay?
Okay, so Chase, real quick, because of that thing you said regarding what I said, and there being like a broad, wide Pride sort of TM base that everything Pride can be drawn from.
Hey,
when
I believe I had the floor before two people took it before me.
There's only one name on a notepad, and everyone else is jumping in.
I want to take the floor. That is a very like base take, Chase. I want to give you that. It's a very base take about the dogs. But other than that, I hate how you decide that you're the one authority that gets to decide what kink is. I don't care if two men kiss in the street. That is not my concern. Obviously, I brought BDSM in the grocery store as a concern. So obviously, you pointing that to two gay men kissing is absolutely asinine. I feel like it's arguing in bad faith to equality the two. With that being said, I don't think I honestly don't think that sexuality should be shown in public, right? So not that you're gay or not that you're trans or whatever, you're going to show that, but I don't believe that you should be able to show anything more than that. I don't think you should show boobs. I believe that's indecent exposure. I don't believe that you should be able to go out half naked in the street. I believe that's indecent exposure. As I already said, I'm against Mardi Gras. I'm against the Halloween parades that you're gonna bring up, I'm sure. I'm against any of that you're gonna bring up. It's not just pride; it's everything that's the issue. Okay. So what I am saying is, if you're gonna be okay with kinks, then you should completely be okay with 50 Shades of Grey being practiced inside the grocery store, not just sold inside the grocery store because it's sold to 18 plus, because it's an R-rated movie. There's someone. No, stop. It is true. You can only buy that movie if you're 18 plus. They're going to check your age when you leave because it's an R-rated movie. It is an R-rated movie. You're not going to argue about that. It's an R-rated movie, and it can only be sold to people who are 18 or above. With that being said, I'm against kinks being shown inside the grocery store. I'm against kinks being shown inside the street. I'm against kinks being shown inside of Mardi Gras. Whatever you're gonna bring up, I'm against it if it's in public. Because if you want to have this in private, that's fine. That's your thing. Whatever you want to do, that's your thing. But to have it in public, to have it where kids can see it, is absolutely disgusting.
No.
Before we tackle him, I think we should.
I want to respond to something very specific because
I think this is important to point out. What Zach said is a really good thing. Okay, because I don't necessarily agree with everything else he said besides it, but the fact that he said that like I'm not talking about like two dudes kissing. I'm not talking about like trans people. I'm not talking about gay people or bi people. That's what Pride was set out to accomplish. That's a good thing. The fact that even someone who is conservative, who is much further into the, well, I'm not trying to call you far right. I'm just saying like you're further than me. I'm pretty center right, so you're further into the right than me, I would say. But so like someone who is further into the right can be like, yeah, that stuff's okay. Like everything that we want to see at Pride, he's okay with, right? The kiss, you can kiss your partner in public. Nobody gives a shit about that. You can hold hands with your boyfriend as a male. You can hold hands with your girlfriend as a girl, and that stuff is all okay. But any of the over the top extra shit, like the way that I see kink is like anything that is. I'll finish as quickly as I can. So anything. My personal, like how I understand kink is it's something that is meant to be like sexually arousing. Like this is something that you practice or participate in or use that turns you on in some form, or this is something that you practice to be aroused specifically. Like this is like something you use sexually. So that's how I see kink. There isn't a real definition that I could find. So that kind of stuff I don't feel like is family friendly anyways. So to end it real quickly, why can't we just admit that like kinks are the hot tub streamers of Pride Parade? Okay?
Wait,
I'm almost finished. Like 10 seconds. We all want to operate in this space. We all want it to be like family friendly, but there's certain things that are kept behind the 18 and up tab, and there's certain things that are in their own category, but they're still allowed in their own spaces, and that's.
Right, before anyone else jumps in, we're going with the rules. And people that raise their hand get their little name jotted down in a notebook. And Maddie's had her hand raised, so therefore Maddie goes next. If you want to speak, raise your hand. If you don't have the opportunity to jump in, raise your hand, and I'll write it down in Dylan Burns' notepad. Maddie is next, and then I've got all the hands now. All right. Didn't mean everyone. Maddie, go.
Yep, no problem. So I think it's extremely problematic to believe that just your body is inherently sexual, or that just showing naked body is inherently sexual. I think that's a very American view. I think that's a very like derived from our puritanical roots view. Like I wouldn't say that a woman breastfeeding is inherently sexual. When men don't wear shirts in public, it's not inherently sexual, unless they're Chris Hemsworth. But like, you could be wearing anything, and then like, it's gonna be sexual. All right. But yeah, like, I just think that's sort of where that inherently is where it's problematic, because where do we draw the line then? You're like, no nipples. It's like, yeah, but why? Like, why? Is it because men can't control themselves around naked boob? That to me is like, if I were a guy, that argument would like infuriate me, because I'd be like, what, you don't think I can control myself because of boobs out? Like, that shows a low opinion of men. So like, boobs aren't hurting anyone. Also, I don't know, again, like when I was told growing up, like, hey, we're gonna be in San Francisco for a parade or whatever, like there might be some naked people around. When you're a kid, your mind doesn't immediately go to like, ooh, it's gonna be sexual. You're a kid. So you don't have to make that connection. That's socialized behavior. And like, it was fine. And like, not a big deal. So I don't know, this whole like, don't show sexuality in public, whatever. That's the same kind of reasoning where like showing ankles used to be considered a kink. Showing wrists used to be considered a kink. Allowing your woman to speak in public used to be, ooh, that's very taboo, very, very
Maddie,
kinky.
why don't we just go full naked? Why don't we just go full
Leeve,
naked?
I don't remember you raising your hand and then being called on by the moderator. It's so weird. Did I black out? So yeah, like, I just think like this whole like, don't show sexuality, it reeks very like nun at the middle school dance telling you to leave room for Jesus when you're slow dancing. So like, I don't know, it's kind of cringy.
All right. Now, when I said I'm going to write your name down in a notebook, I don't want to go above 4 people in this notebook. It will get ridiculous. You still need to have a conversation. There still needs to be a flow to this. So we're going to go to Joe, then RdZ, then Chase, then Sprout. We've got 4 people in the queue. Right. And then I'm going to throw away the notebook, and you can talk like adults and interrupt when there's a space to interrupt.
Yeah, so the reason why I get so pilled in people coming on panels and just saying shit is that they'll start strawmanning in these whataboutisms with like no regard of laws that exist and even the protocols that exist in there. As an example, in New Jersey, right? I'm going to walk you through this the best I can. 2C14, it's a whole on lewdness. A person commits a disorderly person's offense if he, she, or they, poggers, New Jersey, does any flagrantly lewd or offensive act which he, she, or they know or reasonably expects is likely to be observed by another person non-consenting who would be affronted or alarmed. A, they commit a crime in the 4th degree if they expose their intimate parts for the purpose of arousing or gratifying the sexual desire of an actor or any other person under circumstances where the actor knows or reasonably expects they are likely to be observed by a child who is less than 13 years of age, where the actor is at least 4 years older than the child. They expose their intimate parts for the purpose of arousing or gratifying the sexual desire of the actor or of any other person under circumstances where the actor knows or reasonably expects they are likely to be observed by a person who, because of mental disease or defect, is unable to understand the sexual nature of the actor's conduct. And it goes on with a bunch of things, clearly laying out what they describe as lewd acts, which is lewd acts shall include the exposure of the genitals for the purpose of arousing or gratifying the sexual desire of the actor or any other person. So one of the things I think is incredibly important before we try to do whataboutisms of like, well, what if they go naked? Or what if you see BDSM in the middle of a grocery store? You have to say, hey, do I live in America? Oh, cool. So there are certain laws that probably exist that prevent the very activities I'm describing. So my desire is, which is why I'm taking so much time to express this, is if you are thinking of some type of straw man to challenge Maddie, Chase, or any other individual, for God's sakes, at least know the laws of your state and use them to apply to your answer or hypothetical. Because again, if I'm starting to get pilled here, I don't want to get pilled here that you guys are all dumb fucks. So the question is, do you know the laws around lewdness in your state? I'm talking to anybody who's into dissent for Kink and Pride,
RdZoid.
or what they just termed.
Okay, so this is in response to what Chase said in his opening statement. When I searched for something that I could draw from that is like Pride official, of course I wasn't saying this is what all Pride everywhere says. That's not what I was doing. It was Pride NYC, but being fair to me, if we're being honest, are you going to find much different things between different Pride events or cities or wherever if they're going to have like a website or anything that says like this is our statement or this is our mission statement or whatever? That's where I got it from. This was the topic. I Googled it, so I was trying to find things that I could use with talking about this. Of course, I wasn't casting a wide umbrella and saying like this is all Pride. If I would bring it back though to something that Maddie said, I think it was in your opening statement, you said like, quote, you might see some naked people. I'm not saying this happens at Pride, and like I'll take your word for it if anybody who does go to it says it doesn't happen that much. But where would we say this is okay anywhere else? Like I don't. That doesn't seem like something that it would be like, oh, it's okay here, but everywhere else we don't want to see that.
Chase, are you able to respond?
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just doing my best impression of a conservative on Twitter. So yeah, I didn't mean to put words in your mouth, Spartacus. Sprouticus? Sorry, TheSprouticus. What I was attempting to say is that kink is extremely meaningless, extremely contextual, and has changed over time. And that's why I said we should just not use that word in this conversation. Because when you say, I'm against kink, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. So when I said, if you say, I'm against kink, I'm going to assume that you say you don't want to see two gay people kissing, because 20 years ago, 30 years ago, that would have been seen as kink and not acceptable in public. So I want to be like really, really specific about what's happening here. Now, as to what you just said, RdZoid, you're right, I was being a little unfair. But Pride events actually do vary a lot. And so do a lot of other events. Spartacus already brought up like Mardi Gras. There are parts of Mardi Gras where it's totally cool to be naked and have your tits flopping out and whatever. There are other parts and other Mardi Gras celebrations. That is totally not the case. That is also true of Pride. And people, when they put out materials to try to get people to come to certain events, it's usually pretty clear to what's going to happen. You look at Beta Breakers out in California, totally unrelated to Pride, right? Something totally not even in the same universe. People just run naked across the entire city and everybody's fine with it. Context really matters. So I just want to be very specific. Now, Sprouticus is saying, I don't want to see BDSM. What does that mean? People aren't out at Pride events whipping one another and having like leather sex. I don't even know what you're picturing. That's why I want to get I want you to be very specific about what you're against, because I legitimately don't understand.
Okay, wait.
If somebody's out in
Chase, before Sprout answers this, we're going to throw another steel chair, and I'm going to throw it straight at you. I want you to give your best faith interpretation of what Sprout means. What do you think he means when he says no BDSM in public? What do you think he means?
Oh shit, I don't have my sunglasses. How will people know I'm a conservative? Oh well. Oh, okay.
Also, real quick, I'm pretty sure you can't do the ball gag on Twitch. I'm pretty sure it's against US.
It's not TOS.
Oh, this is
sure?
a dog toy.
Okay.
It's not a ball gag.
I was generally being serious. I really didn't know. I looked it up and it said sexual acts. I don't know if Twitch considers that a sexual act. So
I mean,
isn't that the topic?
Did you consider it a sexual act, Nacho? That's what we're discussing right now. All right, Chase.
That's up to Twitch, and we all know how Twitch
Honestly,
is.
everything
okay,
to me,
okay,
everything
so-
Chase does is a sexual act.
I mean, it's a problem. It's a disease I have. And
Best
and,
faith
all right,
interpretation of Sprout's argument.
Sprouticus, what I hear Sprouticus saying is that we want to live in a society where people can go out in public and not be afraid that they're going to be exposed to things that they don't want to see. Consent is really important. We don't want people exposing themselves to one another. We don't want people engaging in sexualized behavior out in public in a way that is going to make other people uncomfortable. We have a lot. I'm trying to steal man, so I'm going further than what you said, right? We don't want people to experience sexual trauma. We don't want young people to be exposed to things that they don't understand. We need to make sure that if somebody is going to be exposed to something out in public, that they know what they're going to be exposed to, that it's a safe space for them, that they feel comfortable. And that's why I think when we talk about these Pride events, which are out in public, they're usually given licenses. All kinds of people go there. They sometimes get corporate support. We really need them to be spaces where people are going to feel comfortable. And that's why I think that we need to make sure that we aren't having overtly sexualized things out in that public space, that we're not having, extreme kinks or people getting off in public. That's not something that any of us want to see.
Sprout? Muted.
So it's something that, like what you said. Yeah, it's something we don't want to see in public. You're right. I 100% believe in consent. I deny rapists. I think they deserve to rot underneath the jail. Okay, not even in the jail, underneath the jail. But what I am saying is that this shouldn't exist anywhere. I'm not putting this straight on Pride, which everyone seems to think I'm like anti-LGBT for putting it straight on Pride. I'm not putting this straight on Pride. I'm putting this straight against straight people. I'm putting this straight against everybody. I brought in Mardi Gras and I brought in Halloween for a reason, because these are places where this is shown that I am 100% against. Maddie brought up that people leave their boobs in public. Yeah. So what I am saying is that I am saying that you shouldn't be naked in public. There's a thing called indecent exposure, which, Chase, what I'm also adding is that underneath New Jersey law, that would also be considered against the law, right? So, with that being said, Chase,
I
am
thought
glad.
everything was legal in New Jersey.
So, Chase, I don't understand that you were able to be recognized as, considering this is the last time that anyone could talk without being interrupted. But I am glad that you showed us what you liked in the bedroom. You had that ball gag at the ready. So I'm just glad that people know what you like in the bedroom now. So if any girls like to be dominant, Chase is your guy. I don't know if he's single. I don't know if he's single or not, but he is your guy. All right.
Honey.
I don't know if a Speedo would be included. I don't know if a Speedo would be included in that. But with that being said, I disagree with this everywhere. It's not just Pride. I don't disagree with gay people kissing. I don't care if you're male, female. I don't care anything they built. I don't disagree with you kissing. I don't disagree with you showing that you're trans in public. I don't care. What I care about is the people that are being overtly sexual in front of children. That is absolutely disgusting and abhorrent in my mind.
So,
But
okay,
do you think that
just so we're incredibly clear here, the law agrees with you, and there's multiple laws across every single state that cover obscene acts, lewdness, obscene behavior, public exhibition of a sexual performality, which is something that they allow in Oregon on. Like,
I have a response to that.
Sure.
Yeah, I have a response to that. So I don't know why we do this, but like when Joe Lewis talks, like no one calls him out. So I'm gonna try to do that. So firstly, the first thing you said in your opening statement, first thing you said in your opening statement is that kids can be exposed to like a little bit of sexuality and might like actually improve their like sexual tendencies.
That's not what I said.
You can clarify your statement, but
I can read my statement verbatim actually because I wrote it down.
Sure, go ahead.
Ready?
Go ahead, but just let me respond.
It is not possible to eliminate risk or harm entirely for children, either offline or online. We're going to go step by step to see where you disagree. Do you disagree with that statement?
Nope.
Joe, no, give me a second.
Evidence suggests that...
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
Joe,
Evidence, shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
Shut the fuck up, Sprout.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up!
Fucking respect. Shut
Is
the
there a
fuck up and
moderator?
show some fucking respect.
Hey.
You fucking entitled.
Everybody's muted apart from you, Jogo.
Evidence suggests that children's exposure to a certain degree of risk, according to their evolving capacity,
Holy shit.
helps them build
cut out
resilience and to prepare for an adult world once they reach the age of 16.
He doesn't know.
Right. I think I disagree with this statement right here. So one,
Okay.
if you like, I could be totally wrong. If you post the evidence, I'll look over it myself. But the evidence I have is that sexual aspects in media have a harmful effect on kids. Now, imagine if that sexual aspect was in front of them. I'd also think that there would be an increase of like sexual deviancy, including unprotected sex. But now the next point is you keep bringing up legality. Well, there's this like thing called privatism, where we look at morals, not laws. When talking about morality, I really don't care what the law says or if you can get persecuted or if the law agrees or disagrees with me. When we're asking the question of should there be kink at Pride, we ascribe morality, not legality.
The legality protects your morals.
Hold on.
Sleeve.
I have a question for Joe.
When asking,
I have a question for Joe. If I can.
Go ahead.
Joe, are you going to show your children people being murdered, and if so, at what age? Like real murders?
I can't avoid that. I cannot avoid that type of interaction. I don't have a say in when that actually happens. I can protect my child to the best of my ability, so they're not exposed to dangerous activity and dangerous behavior that can lead to psychological trauma. But there's nothing that I can do as a parent that will inherently protect them 100% from seeing that in the outside world. This is coming from somebody who watched their father die in front of them when they were 5 years old.
Okay, well that's still irrelevant. I mean, like I just don't understand. Like the whole like, oh well, they're gonna see it anyways argument is just pretty shitty because there's a whole lot of things.
No. I never said they were going
they
to
could
see
find
it.
Well,
because
the
it's on
second
the
argument
internet.
is what
Try
matters.
again. I
He's
said
describing it like,
it is
is
not
it good
possible. It is not possible to eliminate risk or harm entirely for children, either offline or online. Cutsleeve agreed with that statement. Is that a correct representation?
I'm not cut sleeves though.
I'm asking Cutsleeve directly.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
I think it's the second part.
Your problem. Your problem is the evidence, right? Is that your hang up?
Yep.
Great. We can't argue about this right now. I'll send you the information. Please read it in its entirety, and we can come back to this.
All right, after we're done with that circle, Irene, I've not heard from Irene for a while. So, Irene.
All right, I'm going to reframe this once again like I did with the last question. I want the people
Okay,
that think that there might be... Is my mic... My mic is not...
Oh, you're
Are we
good.
good?
You're good.
Okay, cool. I saw the hand waving, so yeah, I was trying to figure... Okay, anyway, let me reframe this question like I did the last one, okay? I want people that think that there's harm coming from children being exposed to sexuality either at Pride or a Mardi Gras parade or wherever the fuck you think it's happening to point out where it's fucking happening. Joe rightly pointed out that the law is against the kind of display that you're talking about. So what you're talking about is literally against the law. It's something that if it happened, ostensibly,
Again, no comment shit. Like, unironically, you can touch grass because law does not affect morality. When asked what should be done and not what will be done, you have to
actually cut sleeves. That argument you're making is completely moot here. Can you shut off your headphones, cut sleeves? I'm hearing myself through your
Someone's got an echo.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, what I was trying to say is like it doesn't have to do with like the idea of morality versus the law. The law prevents the immoral act that you're worried about from happening. If you think that kids seeing this kind of stuff is an immoral act, I'm saying it's not a problem. Now it's on you to show me one fucking instance where anything has been a problem, where children have been exposed to gross, horrible shit, and don't fucking give me that Lauren Southern picture that has nothing to fucking do with Pride. Show me the harm, otherwise this is a fucking witch hunt. This is a goddamn moral panic, and I'm not gonna put up with this shit, okay?
I wanted to ask, where was that picture? Where did that come from?
I even drew a little flag. Sprouticus.
It's that picture is from the Folsom
I'm
Street
next.
Fair,
I'm next.
which is a different.
I apologize.
I was just asking. I was just answering the question.
Okay.
I was just answering the question, Karen. Jesus.
Answer the question. I'm next.
All right, Karen.
Answer the question. No, I'll let you answer the question.
It wasn't anything Pride. It wasn't anything Pride related,
the photo
or
was from Folsom Street Fair. It was not taken at Pride. Folsom Street Fair is a different kink specific event that's held in San Francisco, and it's like kink. Like, so that's where you see all the people like in the full leather getup. That is not Pride. Separate event. Also really fun.
All right,
Okay, so I also want to mention that I was muted during interrupting Joe Lewis when interruptions allowed. So I expect anyone who interrupts me to be muted as well. That's just an expectation I have. If you're gonna mute someone while they're talking, I expect to be mute. I expect anyone who interrupts me to be muted.
All right, this is not a
Joe
conversation about
Lewis-
muting. If people are shouting and screaming over each other, I'm going to mute everybody apart from the person that was originally talking. You're just all going to get muted. That's going to happen. So carry on.
Okay. So, Joe Lewis, I find it absolutely abhorrent that you're going to use New Jersey laws to argue against America. We're talking about America now, not New Jersey. New Jersey is literally the smallest state when it comes to the amount of ground it has, maybe not the amount of people it has, but it's literally one of the smallest states when it comes to ground. So if you're going to argue about New Jersey, let's argue about New Jersey, but we're not talking about New Jersey right now. Talk about America in total. So for you to use New Jersey laws to argue against what Cutsleeve is saying, I find that extremely bad faith, Joe. I've talked to you before, and I've gotten like coherent stuff, but that's not coherent.
No,
to
you're the
argue
one
New
being
Jersey-
incoherent. No. Oh my God.
I'll respond. Don't worry, I'll
Hell
respond.
no.
Plenty of time to respond.
I'm angry
Okay.
and white.
No
Don't tell
comment,
Danabo
no
what to do,
comment,
you
Chick. I am
fucker.
not to be interrupted. I'm
angry
I
and
was
white.
muted. I was
This
muted
dude thinks
when I
he's the
was
star of the
interrupted.
show.
No
Look,
comment,
you're
Chick.
about to
I am
earn
not
yourself
to
a
be
kick.
interrupted.
I was
I was
muted
muted
when
when I
I
was
was
interrupted.
All right, when I'm
causing
talking,
problem,
hello,
Dad.
hello, hello.
Causing a
All
problem.
right, when I'm
Who would
talking,
like to see a
it's not.
manager?
When I'm talking, it's not to add to the conversation. I'm only here to moderate. Spartacus, if you end up in 30 seconds, we'll allow Joe a response, and then we'll go to Irene.
I will end it in 30 seconds. So this is absolutely disgusting, Joe Lewis, for you to say that you are arguing against the actual topic, which is America, and bring up New Jersey laws, is absolutely disgusting to ignore the rest of the 49 states. Okay? You are bringing up stuff to try and have Cutsleeve argue against, which is absolutely not what happens the rest of the 49 states. So I'm glad New Jersey has those laws, but New Jersey isn't America. And maybe a part of America, but just because New Jersey isn't a part of America doesn't mean it's the entirety of America. So for you to argue that against Cutsleeve and try to have him argue against that is absolutely abhorrent and of bad faith.
That was
Joe?
the stupidest shit I have literally ever heard. That was so
I got
fucking bad. No, yo, I think it's my turn next. Okay.
Sure.
So here's the deal. Joe Lewis cited New Jersey state law. Do you know for what reason? Because we're talking about state laws that get implemented. The federal law here is not applicable. Joe Lewis chose one state out of the 50. That's pretty fucking representative. Do you think that New Jersey is going to be like, okay, we allow this, this, and this, and the rest of the states are like, nah, dude, just fucking have at it. You want to fuck in a public park? Go do it, dude. No, it's not that different. Joe Lewis picked one thing to give as kind of an example, and yeah, New Jersey law is applicable because in New Jersey, that is the law. Like, you know, when you don't have a federal law, the state, or actually, yeah, the state laws, you know, are the ones that are applicable. So yeah, no, I don't want to hear this shit about like, you know, Joe Lewis is obfuscating by choosing a state law. Do you think that a federal law would somehow be better? He chose the applicable law. Okay, I'm no ad homs. I'm cutting myself off right here.
Every single state has
again-
public indecency laws.
Oh my
Every
God.
single state.
Yes.
Again,
Yeah,
Yes.
so
again,
I was
it doesn't
I was-
matter to the question of should a thing happen or not.
I was asked
It
directly
doesn't
about
happen.
this.
That's
was
the
asked
problem.
I was asked directly
That's
about
not
this,
the
and I'll-
question, Chase. Go ahead, Joe.
I'm more than happy to respond to what Sprouticus said. When we are dealing with a local situation like Pride across 50 states, it's important to look at the laws that those states go by. As an example, Louisiana, under RS 14101 of obscenity, line B, I, and 2 states that prohibited, and it's a crime of hardcore sexual conduct in the public portrayal for its own sake and ensuring commercial gain of. It also prohibits ultimate sexual acts, normal and perverted, actual, stimulated, and animated, where between human beings, animals, or an animal and a human being, or to masturbation, excretory functions, and lewd exhibition, actual, simulated, or animated of the genitals, pubic hair, anus, vulva, and female breast nipples. And it goes on listing a bunch of different things that line up what is considered obscure and also lewd. The reason why these things are important is we can make a moral argument about anything that we want. But another question that you have to ask, what do the laws say within your state? Because every single state is going to have different expressions of this, which is why I said, if you have a problem with lewdness and the public display of sexual activity, you should look into the laws that exist within your state, because you're not going to see a federal mandate of lewdness across all 50 states. What you are going to see is what I'm trying to describe to the best of my ability, is different laws that go to different extents, that have different types of wording around the very thing that we are afraid of seeing in public. And the core of my argument is that people on the internet like to morally grandstand and not read laws. It's very easy to have a moral claim online and look like you're rhetorically killing it. But when it comes to actual laws, the vast majority of people who debate on Twitch are legality, from a legality standpoint and from a local politics standpoint, incredibly insufficient. And I'm sorry, Sprouticus, that you don't know the laws of your state. If you do know the lewdness laws of your state, I would love for you to express those right now so we can actually have a conversation about what part of the law is not being covered within your state. Same goes to
Again,
you do not even have to dox
again,
yourself.
So I
Joe,
was asked a question, cut sleeve. I'm sorry, I was asked a question. It
Okay.
doesn't matter about the laws in a single state, and I will reserve my time for cut sleeve to talk because I believe cut sleeve deserves an explanation from this because it was absolutely important to bring up one state. I could always bring up the laws in my state. The issue is that what happens at these, either whether they be against the law or whether they be for the law, it doesn't matter. What is happening is we're having a moral debate, not a law debate, because laws are different from morals. So we're having a moral debate on whether or not this should be allowed. So they are allowed
What?
right now because
What
stop,
should be allowed?
Stop. So what is happening is they are being allowed. What's happening
What
is being
is?
allowed. So the kinks at Pride, okay? And I'm
What
not
does that
talking
mean?
about. I'm not so Chase. I'm not talking about kinks as in gay people kissing themselves, kissing their partner, whatever. I don't. You're trying to argue what kinks means, and I've argued about you against this before. Okay, but I'm gonna address Joe Lewis before. But now what I'm gonna say is I'm gonna address Joe Lewis, not you, Chase. So what I am saying is and I'm not gonna bring up my state because I believe it's absolutely abhorrent to bring up one of the 49 states, to bring up a law from that and apply it to the rest of America. I yield my time to cut sleeve.
Wait,
Do you address me-
before cut sleeves or before Joe responds, I'm gonna hit cut sleeves with a steel chair. I want cut sleeve. This is a challenge for you, cut sleeve. Give the best faith argument in favor of Joe's position that you possibly can. See if you can do it, cut sleeve.
if I could, he's saying that we have to look at the state law by individual circumstances to see not if a thing is moral or not, but to see if it's happening. Because if the level of risk is 0% that it's not happening, then we should worry about it as a moral cause. Pragmatism comes before morality. We have to know if a thing happens before we can decide if it's moral or not.
I don't think that is. Joe,
That's not my argument.
Go ahead.
would you like to restate your argument, Joe?
When we're looking at kink and pride, every single pride event is going to function within the state legislature and the local municipalities. So if there's something that you feel exists, you have to look at the laws and ask the question, do they exist? And if they do exist, what are you doing in order to make sure they don't exist anymore? One of the problems is that when we look across this argument on the internet, is that a lot of people don't know their state and local municipality laws around the very thing that they think exists. So they use the moral argument because it's very easy to make a moral claim without knowing the politics within your state.
So,
Real quick
Joe-
question.
so Joe-
Wait, try to-
really quick. This is really quick.
Wait, not
Are
You're not trying to steel man that
are
again?
pedophiles? Hold on. Are pedophiles criminals?
No.
Okay. What? Wait. What? Who the fuck said no?
What?
What the?
What?
Wait,
no.
I always distinguish like.
It wasn't even
'cause
for
someone
you,
told me
but
to
I mean,
distinguish.
what
I
the
don't
fuck?
want to
Wait,
go.
no,
Can we
someone
please
told me
not go
to
down
do-
this road? I'm so
It's
scared.
fucking yes. Do criminals fucking
Was that, I
follow
think,
the
was that to
law?
me,
Hold
Nacho?
on, hold on. Wait, sure.
New
The
topic.
answer is yes. I don't want to fucking take up all the damn time. Do you think that criminals follow the law?
Pedophiles are sexual offenders. Sexual offenders have some of the strictest regulations in terms of their exposure and the way to navigate within society, more so than criminals for things like murder. So it's very, very unlikely that you're going to see a sexual offender
Well,
in the United
it seems like you're.
reoffend without them getting caught within the law. My answer is pedophiles are sex offenders, therefore sex offenders are criminals.
So Joe
Okay,
Lewis,
and criminals tend to not follow the law, right?
And I'm telling you
Generally.
as clearly
Generally
as
speaking,
possibly,
this is why
I'm
they're
telling you as
criminals, right?
clearly as I possibly can that sex offenders are held to one of the highest criminal standards in the United States, not only locally.
That wasn't even the question, though, but just in general.
But
Like,
I want to make this incredibly clear because one of the straw men that people do is to say that criminals can still do crimes. Sexual offenders are one of the citizens in the United States that we openly accepted that we have to and ought to monitor their every single footprint and their tracks after they make it out of the criminal justice system. So to say that sexual offenders reoffend in the same way that criminals of murder do vastly oversimplifies the sexual offender registry and other things laid out by the FBI, CIA, and other local state legislatures and just the criminal justice system broadly. So I don't want to go down that road because sexual offenders are monitored more than people for murder and other acts of crime.
So Nacho, would you yield your time to me, please? Would you yield your time to me?
that was my question, though.
Okay, so I take that as Nacho yielding his time to me. Folsom Street Fair, which happens in Indianapolis, Ohio, and San Francisco, 3 different cities. The Folsom Street Fair has people whipping people in sexual gear as public. Okay, so whoever's talking about BDSM in grocery stores, it's just moving it to a different place in public. So it's extremely ignorant to argue that it's a different place in the grocery store than it is in a public street. Extremely ignorant to argue that fact. So I'm still talking, please. So the Folsom Street Fair, we're going to talk about that specifically right now. So
Is that pride?
So Joe Lewis, do you agree with the Folsom Street Fair?
I cannot speak on Folsom Street Fair because I've never been to it. Have you been to it?
Of course you can't. No,
You
I've
should
seen
go.
it in
I've
Indianapolis.
been.
I've seen it in Indianapolis, and it's absolutely
Have
disgusting.
you been to Folsom
Yes, I've seen
Street
it in Indianapolis, and it's absolutely disgusting.
So you have attended a Folsom Street Fair?
Yes, I live outside of Indianapolis. I've seen it in
I don't-
Indianapolis.
Learning
It's
so
absolutely
much about
disgusting.
Sprouticus
He said
today.
yes,
Is the
Oh my
answer yes?
god!
I
Not
wasn't
I live
attending. I
around
wasn't
it.
He said
attending
yes
in
3
support.
times.
I
Is the
wasn't.
answer
I wasn't
yes?
attending. So I wasn't
I
attending.
take
said
back
yes.
everything I said.
I was there, and it happened to be in Indianapolis when I was there.
I
So
will
to
take that
argue
as
whether or
yes,
not I
you
was
would attend.
attending, I wasn't attending, but I was there. So to argue.
So I'm not going to listen to you then.
So
Both
you're
of
not
us
gonna
are
listen because
functioning.
I saw
Both
it?
of us
What
are
the fuck?
functioning.
No,
Both
seriously,
of us
Joe
are.
Lewis,
No,
are you
let me make
seriously
this
gonna be
clear
that
to you.
ignorant to say
Let me
that I
make
was
this
there?
clear. Let me
Like
make
that I
this
wasn't
clear.
attending? Are you
Try to
fucking
get-
kidding me?
We are
White
both going to
male
argue
brain.
about an event neither of us have attended. So we're just going to make.
No,
Wait,
no,
he
I
said
was
he did
there.
attend.
I was
He
there.
He said
I
he
wasn't
did
a part of
attend.
the event.
Can we
but I
stop the
was
shouting
there.
match?
What
Can we
the
stop the
fuck?
shouting match? Right, right.
Sprouticus.
Right. Can I throw it to Maddie, please?
Wait.
Who's making some very funny gestures. that
Well, wait,
want-
I don't
want-
think
I want
we
Maddie
got to
to-
finish the statement.
I want Maddie to explain the gestures. I'm not sure what's going on over there. Come on.
Oh, I was singing a song. My
I
brain
think I've
detached
heard
from
it
my
before.
body briefly. It's a good. I mean, it's a classic.
Yeah.
I performed it last time I was here. Too much fanfare, so thank you to the fans. It's called White Male Rage, and it's beautiful. And that's just like I just felt inspired by this panel to sing it again. So
Okay, so you've been to Folsom Street Fair. This is the question.
I
Okay.
have.
So would you like to
Yeah,
respond to
I've-
Sprout about his point on the Folsom Street Fair?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I know at least here in San Francisco where it originated because it's named after Folsom Street in San Francisco. I at least know that for most of the parts where they have people like demonstrating kink, most of those parts are already cordoned off to 18 and over. There's some, I think what that photo that's passed around, what it ended up being was like there were guys heading back to their car. Like they weren't in like the main parade or whatever, because that really isn't something that like kids go to. And someone like was taking a picture of it. But yeah, like at least here, anything that's overtly sexual besides just like what they're wearing, that's already cordoned off so that it's 18 and over. And honestly, it's really fun. And if you ever need like fitness goals or something to inspire, like some inspiration, because I wish I looked not only do I wish I looked as good as the guys that are wearing leather and like, you know, little spanky panties in public, I wish I had the confidence of like the gigantic bears who are also wearing those exact same like spanky panties, because I'd be unstoppable. So if you want inspiration either way, check out Folsom Street Fair. It's great.
Sprout and then cut sleeves.
So the Folsom Street Fair is not age restricted. You can't age restrict a public square. That's kind of how it works. You can't check an ID to go on a public street. Yeah, that's not how it works,
That's not
Chase.
true.
You can't age restrict a public street because there's a whole bunch of stuff there's a whole bunch of businesses that are on that public street that aren't age restricted. So if you're trying to go
I
to
can
one of
lie
those
too.
so no, stop. If you're wanting to go to one of those businesses, it's not age restricted. You're not blocked from going to one of those businesses. So this is absolutely disgusting, and I find it absolutely abhorrent that the left is defending this shit. Like, it's absolutely abhorrent that people can just sit there and tie someone up to a literally like an X in the middle of the street and whip them in front of kids. It's absolutely abhorrent and needs to be stopped.
Chase, brief response, and then sleep.
Okay, all I'm going to say is I'm just going to give you an example completely unrelated to Pride. Madison, Wisconsin, every year used to have big riots on State Street on Halloween. They literally cordoned off State Street, ID'd everyone at the door, and charged admission. In order to go on the street, you had to pay an admission fee and get a ticket. This happens at events all over the place.
Go sleep.
For sure. So specifically on to back to Joe and I think Maddie's point. Firstly, Sprouticus said on 3 different occasions that he was there at like the place where like the event took place. But also I disagree with the framing. I don't think you have to be at a certain event or a certain place to have comments on their certain event or a certain place. I think many people had comments on the January 6th rally or riot or whatever you said without people actually being there. Even if you were there, you can have comments or you can have video of a thing and you can have, comments about it that you weren't there to experience. So I disagree with that framing. But second, I can concede all of your premises, including the Stillman chair, that like it's like everything that Sprouticus is talking about is legally banned. There is a still non-0% chance that it's going to happen. And even if it was a 0% chance, that has nothing to do with the morality of it. We can describe of whether murder or if murder is good or bad, just because it's banned does not mean 1, it's a non-0% chance of happening, or 2, we can't describe the morality of whether murder is good or bad. I really suggest you should look up to this like subsection of Protestantism. I think it will do your arguments a lot of good.
I just want to run for a local legislature, so morals don't give a fuck about my arguments. So I mean that's kind of where it stands here.
They
I'm
don't
more
care
than
about
happy
morals,
to
though.
be a debate bro and argue people on the internet and get bits and donations from people within my community. But I realize that Twitch is very finite, but what isn't finite is my local politic and my state legislature and the federal government. So I'm looking towards that as my goals and not to morally grandstand on the internet anymore.
So
I'm just
Joe,
kinda
you don't care about morals. You don't care about morals when it comes to politics. You don't
Wait,
care.
what?
That has nothing to do with your argument, with your political argument. It has nothing to do with morals. So you're not going to stand up for your moral beliefs in politics. That's what you're telling me.
Of course not. Because here's something that's very, very good. It's a very good point that you make there. I am pro-life, but the laws in my state don't give a shit about me being pro-life. I'm pro-gun, but my state doesn't give a shit about me being pro-gun. My pro-life stance comes from my religious values as a Roman Catholic. However, if I go into the state legislature, I have to understand that my moral stance on abortion, because it's based on religious values, has to be separate on what the law has to say. And I understand that going into arguments with individuals. So while I will openly say on the internet to everyone to hear, as a lefty, I am pro-life, however, that's not the law of the land. So I must observe that to the best of my ability. And if I were to create laws, and this is something to anybody, if you see me in the House of Representatives in the state of New Jersey, or even something within the House of Representatives representing District 12, and I openly advocate for pro-life, you will know for sure that my stance on that comes from a moral aspect that shouldn't exist in politics because it comes from a religious backing. So if you ever see me do that publicly, I hope you drag me across the earth because I try to keep those things as incredibly seperate as I can when I'm talking about policy.
So
Sure.
So wait a second.
Wait, no, everybody wait.
I'd like to address
Hold up,
Joe.
Sprout.
I'd like to
No,
address
everybody
Joe on
wait.
that.
No. Right, we're getting close to 3 hours, so we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to go into closing statements. We're going to give outros. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending. It's been a fun time. I'm glad it didn't get too spicy. We got on a spice level that was acceptable. There was a few add-ons, a bit of name calling, but not too toxic. I was happy with this tonight. So thank you very much, everyone. So let's wrap it up. Let's go into closing statements. Give a quick outro of your channel, and remember, the last time you can address the previous topic is in the we missed it. But if you want to shout out Lego
Are we
Batman,
doing
do
more
so.
or not?
You're just going to give your outro. This is it. This is the end. Give your outro. Tell me where you can find your socials, your Twitter, your Twitch, your YouTube, whatever you would like to shout out. If you want to shout out shellshockcbd.com with code danabo for 10% off, you can do that. Or if you just want to shout out Maddie's dog, you can do that too. We're going to start closing statements with, let's go with Cutsleeve.
Yep. So my Discord is Cutsleeve. That's the best place to find me. I never reject any debates. Now on to the topics. Intelligence for the lefties still caps out at triple digits. Their argument of, whether legality and morality should mix, it's in the subsection of privatism. No, legality and morality should not exist. Good for Joe that he wants to be a legislator and morality and legality get bundled in his worldview. But when you come into debates like these, we are here to discuss what should be. Should is a moral claim. Now, on the question of whether you can comment on something you haven't been personally at, yes, you can. Many people comment on January 6th. Many people comment on 9/11. I commented on 9/11. I wasn't even born then. On the subsection of kinks, I think you have to define kink, which no one explicitly has defined. Sprouticus has defined, off stage, level of kink, kink in one certain area on the edge, and Maddie's defined kink on the other certain areas, like soft kink. I still haven't had a good definition of kink, so whether the question of should kink be at rallies or not, I still have no answer. And although I have no answer for that, I still have no answer on which lefty goes in at triple digit IQs. Still gotta find the one.
Thank you very much, Cutsleeve. Oh, so the triple digit IQ, Maddie, please. Is there still an echo somewhere just before me?
I think it's from I don't know whose it's from, but I hear it. I think it looks like it might be coming from Sprouticus. Because that seems to be the one lighting up.
Yeah.
I'll mute myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, so Kink at Pride. I truly hope this is the last panel where we have to talk about this issue that comes up every year and is brought up by the same right-wing homophobic garbage people that get triggered because they might see boob or ball, as if that is enough to just send them down a hallway of
sorry,
horrors.
guys, you had to deal with this. I really am. It's disgusting.
You're not muted. You're not muted. You're okay. Okay. I too would like to apologize to his users for having to put up with this. What a day. But yeah. So, I don't know. It seems like it'd just be really easy to talk to your kids if you plan on bringing them to a Pride event. And study up on your local laws about what constitutes indecent exposure, because as it turns out, it varies by state, it varies by city. Hence why bringing up New Jersey was a good thing, because it highlighted that there are differences within these beautiful United States of America, that's things that constitute indecent exposure. Wouldn't you happen to know it? It's different in different places, which, what a riot. Could you imagine? So yeah, don't be afraid of boobs. They're not going to hurt you. They're not inherently sexual. They actually are meant to feed kids, which is just fucking crazy, right? So yeah, I'm Maddie Cakes. Hello. This was wonderful. Danabo's the best. I love everyone on this channel who agreed with me, and people who disagreed with me can come around sometime. I hope the doors are open. Maddie's here to welcome you to the left and embrace you with open arms. I promise you the water's great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. Nacho.
Okay. Wait, can you hear me? Okay. I thought I muted myself. So again, like I don't think any of this really makes a difference in what my main point was, which was that if we want to continue to see Pride grow and have support, that we probably should place these things behind a 18 and up event or a after party or etc. It's really apparent that it probably doesn't matter what the law is in any given state because there are clearly so many people who are willing to excuse or provide cover to anyone who would be behaving this way at a family-friendly event. I think that especially if these things, which I have been to 2 of these events when I was in high school. Although I do live in a red state, everything is probably a lot more well behaved than maybe in like a larger city. It was a pretty small town area, so I don't even know if you could really call this like an event to scale to something like San Francisco or New York City, etc. I have talked to plenty of people in doing research on this because I had no idea what the hell any of this even was. So I talked to family, to friends, and even some like mentors and teachers that I grew up with who are like gay and go to these things consistently. I have retired neighbors that are gay and they go to these events quite frequently. They have tons of money and they go all over the damn country to all these events, and most of them are on the general consensus that this probably isn't a family friend. This is probably not something they would bring their kids to. Now they go to much bigger places. So and you kept saying that this is only being brought up by like conservatives, whatever. Like this is something that gets talked about like every year around this time. And it's not just conservatives. There are people who are in the LGBT community. There are people in the gay community who feel like that that this event is kind of being hijacked by others. And if that's what they're gonna be kind of painting this, or if they're going to be this kind of like, well, people could point to this and then demonize the entire like LGBTQ. Like I think that's probably shitty. Because then you're just feeding those who really are homophobic, who really hate these people and hate these kind of events and don't want anybody to see these things. So you're just fueling them up and giving them a reason to say like no one should ever attend these, no one should bring their kids, etc., etc. So first of all, if these things are not happening at your local events, that's probably a good thing, and you should probably try to keep them that way. And wherever they are happening, if you're participating in these events, you should probably point those things out, especially if they're against the law, and get these people out of the family-friendly event and keep them at the 18 and up, the nighttime events. That's it. I think it's pretty fair too.
Did you shout your channel out now, child?
Oh yeah, sorry. Twitch TV /American Nacho. I play video games and I talk politics and yell at chat. I love you guys. Thanks for having me on.
And yeah, for people that want a sneak preview, the topics for Friday on the Hippy Dippy are pretty much the same as this, and Nacho's got to do this again on Friday. Good luck. Thank you very much, Nacho. Let's go to Joe.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitch and Twitter, twitch.tv/Joe Lewis, the O is a 0. I want to make something a little bit clear because I did have an abortion take that's very antithetical to what leftists on the internet talk about. And I just want to make my stance on the morals of things and the laws of things very, very clear. There's certain parts of my morality that I've let go because, as an example for abortion, I can be for abortion all they want. But if I believe that it's a woman's choice to do that, then my take in the matter doesn't fucking matter. And the law pretty much upholds that within my state. So a woman has a right to an abortion. But I'm pro-life. Holy shit, I can keep these two things separate. Because if I inject my moral opinion on that thing and put that into law, that's antithetical to what I stand for politically. Now, something that really concerns me is that the internet continues to have these easy moral conversations online. And that's totally fine. That's just not where I'm at, where I am. So we can set these kind of things of like, well, we ought to talk about the morals of this thing because we're in this sort of structure and what have you. I'm just choosing not to play the game. That's all. I'm choosing not to play the game because I'm tired of the game. I want to see conversations move somewhere that actually is of substance, which is why I bring up the law in a vast majority of my arguments. The only one that I won't use a law for is titties. Fucking titties are based. Asses are based. My girlfriend has a dump truck and some big old booba. I'm doing pretty good over here. With that being said, kink's fine. there's regulations around it within these things at Pride events. There's laws that protect it, and there's also law enforcement within there that make sure that these things don't happen in the way that people are afraid of, right? And then when we talk about the extrapolative, right? The what if I see BDSM and my GameStop? And it's like, okay, cool. This is what 911 is for, and why we have indecency laws. And it's beholden on you as the individual who sees that in order to call that thing. Yeah, it's a cop take. Really, really shitty, right? So at the end of the day, I'm just trying to make sure that we build better arguments about things, because a lot of the things that we are talking about online involve local politics. Pride is a local politics issue. It's not this federal thing. You're not going to see some federal regulation on pride parades, but you might see some regulations from the organizations who run these events. So if you have an issue with something that you see at Pride, reach out to the individuals who run these events and make those concerns heard. As somebody who has DJed close to 30 Pride events, I have never seen a dissenting opinion at these meetings. And the people who organize the events in Jersey are very open and transparent about what happens at these events. I'm sure that exists in other states outside of New Jersey, but you dissenting opinions don't show up to these things anyway. So like I don't know what to tell you. Like, I can tell you 1,001 times to go to your local legislature to complain about laws you don't agree with. I can tell you 1,001 times to go talk to the community organizers who run these events, but for some reason you don't listen. I don't know what else has to be done at this point. I mean, have fun arguing online, I guess, but that's all I got. This was fun. I'm
you,
only
Joe.
mad at your brains. I'm not mad at you. Okay.
Thank you very much, Joe. RdZoid. Muted. I love
All right.
everyone's face when they realize they're muted.
Yeah, I'm RdZoid. I usually play games or guitar. If you want to argue against someone online, probably not Joe Lewis, but if you want to argue against someone who's right-leaning online, I guess you can come over and argue with me. I'd be happy to do it. But thanks, danabo, for inviting me. It was super fun. I guess closing for this topic, it's like I said in the beginning, this isn't really a huge topic that I have a strong opinion towards. I guess I would just say there's a time and place, but to define what would fall under that is really contentious, as you can see from this panel and all over the internet. So I probably won't Pride isn't really something that I would go to, so I can't really say whether something happens at it, but I'll take people's word for it. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just not a huge issue in my book, so whatever they want to do or whatever they want to allow is fine. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you, RD. Chase.
Yeah, so this topic honestly was just pretty sad for me. I know it felt like I was trying to harp on a definition, but that's because kink in the past has been used to describe any kind of deviant sexual activity. And homosexuality definitely used to be considered a deviant sexual activity. And Sprouticus, I hate to break this to you. I know I'm a catch, but I'm not looking for women. People keep trying to send me their nieces. Please send nephews, for the love of God. Seriously. Yeah, I'm the big gay, it turns out. I know I'm tragically straight passing. It's a problem. Someday maybe I'll get over it. I really don't understand what happened in this conversation. I really think that it would be easy. You'd think it'd be easy to have this kind of conversation, but instead it seems that we're just falling back on people should be ashamed of themselves, and I should be ashamed of myself. And I haven't been to that many Pride events, and the reason is because growing up, I was ashamed of myself. There are people in my family who have absolutely no idea that I'm gay. I have friends that have absolutely no idea that I'm gay. I'm pretty open about it at this point, but it's not easy. And the idea that we should say that drag queens or people who want to dress in leather or whatever should be ashamed of themselves and shouldn't be able to, go to an event that is specifically about them trying to exert their pride, is just sad. And you guys all seem like great people, and Sprouticus, I'm not trying to like attack you or single you out. I'm just trying to express that these conversations can be hazardous. So as a final thought, if you're out there and you're watching this and you're gay or something turns you on and you feel bad about it, don't. It's okay.
Thank you very much, Chase. I've got a toddler banging on my door. He's telling me it's bedtime. We'll go to Sprout next.
I'm really glad you went to me next, danabo. I really am. Chase, don't be ashamed of who you are. Seriously, don't be ashamed of who you are. Anyone who's watching, don't be ashamed of who you are. My arguments are for sexual acts in public that I disagree with. Don't be ashamed of who you are. If you're trans, if you're gay, don't be ashamed. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's who you are. Okay, I had to learn this lesson in middle school. Okay, you got to be who you are. No matter what that is, you got to be who you are. If you're not who you are, you'll make fake friends that you'll despise. You'll make fake friends that will tell you yes until you disagree with them, and they'll tell you no, and they'll leave you. All right, be who you are, and you'll find the right friends that they're there to encourage you. But from what I'm saying is, don't do sexual acts in public. And like I said on stream, when I wasn't muted, I find these arguments absolutely disgusting. I'm not gonna step away from that. Anything I said off stream, I said on stream. So I find these arguments absolutely disgusting that you're willing to show these acts to children. It's absolutely disgusting to me. I think children deserve to be taught by their parents. Children deserve to be taught by their parents when they choose to. Especially when it comes to sexual acts, especially when it comes to that. First off, don't be ashamed of who you are. That's not my argument at all. If you're gay, show that. Be proud of it. Okay. If you're trans, show that. Be proud of it. Be who you are, because that's when you'll find the right friends. But don't expose children to sexual acts. That's where I draw the line, guys, and that's where I'll end my statement.
And where can people find you, Sprout?
Twitch.tv/TheSprouticus. Again, it's Twitch.tv/TheSprouticus.
And I'm going to end with NoCommentChick. Once again, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. This has been, until further notice, the Bird Brains edition with our special guest, Irene, NoCommentChick. I'm very glad she joined us, and I hope we can do this again sometime, Irene. Closing statement and outro?
Absolutely, yeah. Like danabo just said, I'm NoCommentChick over on Twitch. I'm NoCommentChick here on YouTube, and I make videos. Sometimes they're pretty funny. They're always enjoyable, and we try to learn a little bit. We try to hijack other people's conversations and make them better by contributing to the discourse in a positive way. So in line with that, I do have a few thoughts on our last discussion here. I'd encourage people to do what Cut Sleeves was telling me to do, which is, touch grass. But I think what I mean might be a little bit different than what he was intending. Do you have to be at a particular event to be able to describe it? Fuck no. But that's where you need to touch grass. You know what I mean? And by that, I mean, like, acquaint yourself with the situation. Like, know what you're talking about. Because there was a shocking lack of that in a lot of this conversation, and I think it left us talking in like silly land, like, right, about like weird abstractions about like, prescriptive versus descriptive statements and shit that didn't really matter, when really what we were asking is like, what is the harm that's happened? And nobody was able to show any. Nobody was able to show where Pride has exposed children to horrible shit. Everybody just kind of gestured, right? It's like a just kind of a empty virtue signal of like, yeah, I don't like bad stuff. Yeah, we know you don't like bad stuff. Tell us where the bad stuff is, like, specifically, or shut the fuck up, because otherwise it sounds like you're trying to like put all that supposed bad stuff that may or may not exist all off on like the LGBT community during Pride Month, which would be a really dumb shit thing to do unless you were trying to play into a certain op by a website that has stated its goal to do shit like this. So yeah, this argument has divided the LGBT community against itself. It's really, you know, thrown a lot of confusing and fucked up shit into a discourse which should have been about what Sprouticus was just talking about, which is like a wonderful thing. Self-acceptance, loving yourself, you know, that is key to, like Sprouticus said, finding who your true friends are. And yeah, that last statement was fucking based, Sprouticus. I disagreed with you on almost everything else, but that I really like that. That gave me some feels. So yeah, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you, danabo, for making this happen. And thank you, chat, for oh my god, chat's going wild. I'm gonna have to go deal with that. But yeah, it was a fun time, and I'm sure we all learned a lot.
Once again, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Irene. Thank you, Chase. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Sprouticus. Thank you, RD. Thank you, Nacho. And thank you, Cutsleeve. Until further notice, we are now closed, and we'll see everyone again soon. Thanks again, everyone. Have a good night. And happy
Thank you,
Memorial Day.
danabo.
Thank you for your
Have a good
service.
night. Memorial Day.
Thank you, danabo.